2020. Hope everyone's getting ready for a busy weekend. It will be sportsless. It will probably be mostly at home like it's been. This is 6 straight weekends. No sports for me. That's got to be a record for me over 6 straight weekends to not go to some ball game. My own, my brother's, a friend, a professional team, a minor league team, something, somewhere, somehow. But another weekend, no sports. And this weekend, we won't have all the Masters replays on. It made it a little bit better last weekend. But we will have the Bulls debut of the documentary for them. One Last Dance, or The Last Dance, that starts on Sunday. They moved that up. I know a lot of people looking forward to that, and there'll be a lot of things this weekend around the draft. 36th day, no sports due to COVID-19, but maybe some hope with sports and otherwise, with a lot of people looking at a May 1st slow walk back into some semblance of opening for business around the country. We'll get an update both local and statewide, and for the state of Tennessee and for Arkansas and Mississippi at some point. But, Dave, we're going to have to get back out there at some time. We got to be safe. We got to be smart. Texas getting ready to reopen. Jacksonville, Florida Beach is set to reopen. State of Ohio set to reopen. There are every place is not the same, and every place is not ready to be open, but every place is not ready to stay shut either.
No, I agree, and that's why it should be up to all the governors in their particular spots with their particular medical advisors, letting them know when the proper time may be. I'd still be a little scared on those Jacksonville beaches personally, unless, of course, there was social distancing that is practiced, nothing like we saw during spring break about a month ago. But if you're smart about it, then maybe we should proceed with a great deal of caution. You mentioned The Last Dance. That is the Michael Jordan Bulls, and footage we've never seen of their 6th championship season. That was their final year altogether. I know it is really stuff we have not had a chance to look at, footage I'm talking about. Michael Jordan says he's not going to come off really good on this because what folks may not know, and they used to see all those ads, the smiling, carefree guy, do it like Mike, all that charisma. Behind the scenes, he was a taskmaster with his teammates. He was unmerciful. He drove them just like a coach would drive them, played mind games with them. We're going to see all that. I know he's concerned a little bit about his own image, but I guess when you're worth $1 billion or whatever he's worth and you're still an owner of the NBA, it really doesn't matter, does it?
Probably not in over the grand scheme of things. Look, his legacy is set. It almost cannot be damaged. I wouldn't want it damaged again. I liked Michael Jordan as a player. I readily concede, no reservation, no rancor whatsoever that he was the greatest basketball player to ever play. I do think in some debate, and I don't know if I want to have it today, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I'm going to side with Michael Jordan's the best. But Will Chamberlain averaged 50 against air. I don't care how many other not tall centers he was going against. To do that was spectacular. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the all-time leading scorer, and I don't know where he ranks in rebounds, but I bet it's way up there at or near the top. And he was a champion too. But Jordan eclipsed them all. He did. I'm ready to. I'm there. I've been there. Right? It was never with any real argument for me. That was not my team, but I didn't pull it. I think I was mostly for them. I may have been for the Lakers in the first one in '91 because I really liked Magic and Showtime and the Lakers. But I think after that, I don't think I was ever for the Jazz I'm trying to remember all the different finals teams they went against. But I was mostly for them. But it by no means was my team, and he was by no means my favorite player. I liked him. But he was not my favorite player anywhere close to it, really, all time. But my favorite NBA player ever was Kareem. Second was probably Zach Randolph. First. Magic, Bill Bradley.
Wow.
Yeah, Zach Randolph is probably my favorite player of all time. But during those years, before we got a team, it was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. really liked Dr. J, both from seeing him in the ABA and now, but like Michael Jordan, and for however he comes off in this, I don't think his legacy will be tarnished that much. Taskmaster was a great word for it. He was brutal, and most great championship teams have that guy in a locker room. Larry Finch was like that on those Tigers teams here. Now maybe not brutal, but it's a beautiful thing when your best player is also your locker room sheriff.
Well, the only reason there would be a difference there is when you're in college, you're still a kid, and the coach is the rule.
Really lords over the team. That's a great point. That's a great point. At
the pro level, Michael Jordan, even though Phil Jackson had a lot to do with it, and Michael let Phil be the guy that orchestrated everything, but the real leader is your top player, your highest paid player, the guy that is your crunch guy.
Peyton Manning was that. I mean, I think a lot of Peyton's teammates would probably, if they would just, they love him, they respect him, they admire what he accomplished, but man, they probably got tired of him always. We need to work a little longer, a little harder. I know the collective bargaining agreement says X hours, but let's stay another hour.
I think that's probably right, but when you're winning,
Tom Brady.
You don't mind doing it as much as if you're not winning. As far as Michael goes, that is my guy. I mean, let's face it, I'm a Bulls guy, and people think that I really grew up like 5 years old, like I did with the Cubs or the Bears. No, the Bulls came by a little bit later. They were the third incarnation of pro basketball in the city of Chicago, and it's amazing it took so long because it's such a hotbed of basketball. But I go back to guys like Guy Rogers and Bob Boozer. Those were the two early stars. And then you had Norm Sloan and Jerry Sloan and Norm Van Leer and Bob Love and Chet Walker, and that was really the first
Red Kerr.
Really, really good team, right? Red Kerr, coach. Yeah. And then there was this Bulls team, and it's hard to argue with the Boston Celtics and 11 titles. That's the greatest of all time. I would have to think, but I think the Bulls are next. I think 6 titles, and I do think Michael is the greatest player of all time. He's clearly my favorite player. And here's the argument that I would give to you, and I'm certainly not taking anything away from Kareem, because he's probably my second favorite player of all time, or for that matter, Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell. But those guys all had to get the ball from somebody. Bill Russell wouldn't have been as good without Bob Cousy. And Kareem wouldn't have been as good without first Oscar Robertson in Milwaukee getting him the ball. Michael Jordan didn't need anybody to get him the ball.
It's a good point. That's unarguable. You're very, very, very correct. And he had to create, and for a lot of years he didn't have any help. And then help was on the way, and they started building. Scottie Pippen was a big piece, and mix and match pieces. It was kind of stiff at center by committee, but they made it work because he made it work. He was the center of the universe, and then they had kind of galaxy, helper guys that helped out. But it will be fun to watch. Phil Jackson, although he was on my favorite team before we got a team, it was the New York Knicks. But even on those Knicks teams, Phil Jackson wasn't one of my favorite parts of it. I don't know if he's ever been.
Your favorite was because you loved that incredible university he came from.
Well, Bill Bradley was my favorite part of it. But I love Walt Frazier.
Come on,
but
Walt Frazier, buddy.
Oh, I liked Walt Frazier, and I loved Earl Monroe, and I loved Dick Barnett, and I loved Willis Reed. I could go through them all. That was my team, but and they were good too then. And when I was kind of trying to find a team, never close to being my team was the Celtics. And I've said it before during the Celtics-Lakers heated rivalry years in the NBA Finals. I was the lone voice being for the Lakers. I was never, ever that enamored. I kind of always – I didn't resent, but I never really forgave Larry Bird for that performance he put on the Razorbacks in the 79 Elite Eight. But it was something about those Celtics teams that didn't draw me to them. I like the Lakers better because I like Kareem, as I said, and I like Magic, and most of my buddies were all Celtics fans, but I wasn't.
I think I was for the Celtics because of Bird, and the only reason I was for Bird because I loved Magic, and I loved the way he played the game. But I had seen Larry Bird in college play against my Salukis, and you do end up, having an affinity for guys that you watch come up. And still to this day, you can say whatever you want to. Larry Bird was one of the great passers of all time. I've said this before.
Sure was.
I think they measured his peripheral vision, and it was beyond what the norm is. There's no question about it. He could see behind him. He was truly amazing. You mentioned at the start of this 36th day of no sports. I lament tonight a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because originally, Brett, you may not know this, but I was going to ask to leave a little early because tonight would have been Friday.
Dave, you may not know this, but I wouldn't have been in the studios today either. I was going to be in Oxford for tomorrow's spring game.
So that would have been interesting. We would have figured it out. But tonight would have been Friday Night Stripes. That game was going to be, or a portion of that game was going to be on radio. And instead, the university's come up with a cool thing. There's a care package. You go to their website, and they'll give you the poster that we're going to give out today digitally, but you download it from the website. They got other things you can do, screensavers and virtual backgrounds they're just giving you, the fight song they're giving you. It's kind of a cool thing the University of Memphis came up with, but I'm not going to tell you that I'm totally depressed. And we are going to have, by the way, a psychologist next Tuesday to talk about all this. But this is just another one of those days. We've gone through a whole bunch of them. The Masters hit me hard. Opening day baseball hit us both hard. This is another one. You would have been for the Saturday spring game, and tonight we would have been talking football and watching Brady White.
Well, it's all hit me hard, but any type of like real depression. No, I'm not anywhere near it, but it has been disrupting for everyone, and most all of us are very much creatures of habit and routine, and I am very scheduled. I am very routine. For good or for ill, you about set your clock by me, and I like that, and I like it the other way. I like to be able to know when things are coming up. You can look at my old-fashioned calendar, how I keep it. I keep it pretty copiously and like to know exactly where and when and what time I'm supposed to be. And with this, it has really disrupted things. I'm very sad for Tigers fans tonight and for the Tigers marketing department that were already rolling out season ticket packages to really capitalize on that great year. I'm sad that tomorrow my single favorite thing to do in the Ole Miss world is either go to. In the last 2 years, I had the distinct honor and privilege of emceeing the Chucky Mullins banquet.
Right.
It was a breakfast. It was breakfast oriented 2 years ago and more lunch last year. I think tomorrow was going to be more lunch, with the game being at 6:30, scheduled for 6:30 on Saturday. It's my favorite thing to do in the entire Ole Miss world that I've had the pleasure of doing, and get to see a lot of people. Only get to see them one time a year at that, including our friend Brad Gaines. And Dave, I told you I was trying to catch up with Brad, and I don't have a number for Brad. I told you I was going to catch up with him, and I don't have a number. I reached out to a couple people and haven't heard back from him, but I'm going to miss that tomorrow. And Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Arkansas, they're missing out on a big opportunity to cash in, to strike while the iron's hot on the aplomb and the fun of having the new coach. We say, the best time to be the head coach is when you're 0-0. All the jokes are funnier, and you haven't been disappointed in him yet. And Arkansas, Ole Miss, and State all missed out on that, and it's going to be hard if we have a college football to catch up with that. Dave, I had a very credible college football person tell me today that he feels like we could have a college football season in the fall, but it'll be later in the fall, and this makes sense. School may not probably will not start at the traditional August 20th, 25th time. But what if school started? What if fall semester started October 1st, and then you started football in October, and fall semester went October until February, and then spring semester was February to May, and you cut out intersession in January and in December and January and in May, and everybody just have to realize this is one of those year of years where, again, like I was just saying, schedules and routine has been thrown out the window.
Everybody will be ready because they'll have been off all this time. They'll have been off all summer, and they'll be waiting until October. And I think that is a variable that they do have in there, and we change the season along and maybe eliminate just a couple of games, but the majority of the revenue would be coming your way. I have very good news for you, unless he's changed his number, but I have, because he was a guest on our show not that long ago. I have Brad Haynes' number.
We're going to get old Brad.
So I will send that to you, and I'll let you, because I know you have a closer relationship than I do with him. I'll let you make sure we get him on the air. I will say this.
I'm certain he gave me his number last year at the event, and I don't know how I don't have it.
There are a couple of things that I think Ole Miss just really has spot on. One is obviously the glorious tailgating that they do in the Grove. I mean, I'm not sure anybody beats that. Now, I haven't done the one. I haven't really done it. I went to a graduation between the hedges, but I hear that's pretty spectacular. I've never done it in Tuscaloosa either, and I haven't been to a party at LSU. But I've not seen a better tailgate scene than that. And the other is the tradition of the Chucky Mullins number. And every time I just read about it, it almost makes me tear up, because I think it really is to honor him and the whole Ole Miss tradition. I think it's really a wonderful thing, and I'm really sorry you're going to miss out on that this time.
Well, Dave, thank you. And Ole Miss needed both to play football there, and in the tragedy and in the sadness of the accident, Ole Miss needed. And nobody could say it better. And I know you love this person I'm getting ready to invoke. When he would say it and he would enunciate it so, and it all every year at the banquet they always show the late great Coach Billy Brewer, the dog Brewer.
Yep.
When he would roll the full name, when he would say Roy Lee Chucky Mullins, man, it gets me now just thinking about it. Coach Brewer loved him. They were kindred spirits. They both kind of had the hard scrabble upbringing, and without the chance of football and the scholarship offered them at Ole Miss, their lives could have taken a very different route. But then it was intersected on that day in that famous picture of running out on the field that day. That 38 Chucky Mullins there with Coach Brewer, and we miss Coach Brewer, and they both passed in May. Now, of course, Chucky passed in May of '91, and Coach Brewer in May just a few years ago. So they kind of share that date together every year at the event. Brett Brewer, that you know very, very well, Dave, he to see him with Chucky's guardians, with Carver and Karen, and with their whole family, you really do you feel the love. We got a busy show today. We will talk with former Tiger and our very own Gabe Kuhn about 4:30 about just how important it is to miss this spring for this Ryan Silverfield first full-year team. At 3:30, as we do every Friday, Bruce Marshall. 4 o'clock, Mike Detillier from WWL down in New Orleans on a bunch of topics, NBA, NFL, draft, the losses that he's very close to from COVID-19, including his friend Bobby Hebert's father and Saints legend Tom Dempsey. At 5 o'clock, our agent based out of Chicago, but Memphian, Andy Schiffman. And at 5:30, we will have a lively round of Heck Yes, Hell No, and we will wrap up the day with Taco Bell Crunch Time at 5:45. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity Spring Sales Event. Great offers on all 2020 models and always on special lease options. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus as well. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com, 901-362-8833. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, you remember yesterday we talked about the new model, and cases actually were starting to go down in Nashville, and Memphis was seeing light at the end of the tunnel, but in that model it actually mentioned that it was fragile. And I understand what they mean about fragile, because now, since yesterday, we have 108 new cases of COVID-19 in Shelby County. That's the third highest increase since early March. 3 more deaths. I believe those all came from the village at Germantown, which is an assisted elderly living facility that is obviously in Germantown. So now we have 1,616 cases all told. 35 have passed away. St. Jude is getting into partnership with the International Society of Pediatric Oncology to share the latest data that they are getting on COVID-19 throughout the country, actually throughout the world. And I don't know about you, Brett, but it just gives me a little bit of peace when I know St. Jude, because I understand how brilliant those doctors are, the researchers there, what they have already accomplished with cancer. When they're on something new, I have faith in that. So they're going to be a part of that now. State unemployment claims, now at 324,000 in the last 4 weeks. So many that they are going to move to a staggered schedule, which you will apply for by the last digit of your Social Security, assigned on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the other 4 days of the week you will be able to, I think, just be open for grabs. But if you know that last digit, it makes it a little easier. They're going to try to help you get in that way. So far, state of Tennessee, we've got 6,262 cases, 41 have passed. In Mississippi, a little more than half of that, 3,624, but almost as many deaths, 129. Arkansas, 1,620, 37 have passed away. The world dashboard now, 2,178,000 cases. We are approaching the 150,000 mark of those who have passed, 145,329. 26% of the world now recovered. In the United States, 675,000 cases, and 640 have passed. We have almost 4 million now who have tested. We are only at 1% on the recovery rate so far.
I found a new toy today. Have you found the map of the United States that shows all the different locations? It's from Reuters. Have you found that, Dave?
No,
it's
sir,
interesting.
I haven't. I'll look.
And it is plumb frightening. The famed Acela corridor from Washington to Boston. Yeah, you don't want to be in that area. You want to be way out there in Wyoming, near near nobody, or way out there in Montana, near where Custer's last stand was. And I'm going to bring it up with Bruce Marshall. In the state of Nevada, only 3,321 cases. For the NBA, I think they could develop. I hope they're contemplating trying to develop a plan for maybe even Las Vegas and Phoenix, just like baseball. Mm-hmm. And if the NBA and the Major League Baseball could work together with testing for the Phoenix-based people, I think that would probably be smart. But I'm going to bring it up with him because it looks a little bit like the map, except for the Electoral College. I mean, there's a lot of area that you could almost drive from the West Coast to the East Coast and not get near a coronavirus case. But then in the larger areas where the people actually are, you sadly can. Top story for me, the Detroit Lions open to dealing the number 3 pick. It's all worked so well for Detroit through the years, hasn't it? How would you like to be a franchise that won one playoff game with Barry Sanders? One.
How many have they won with their quarterback?
How many have they won any time?
I know.
The Bob Quinn pencil Patricia era may have about one more year left before Detroit does what they do year after year after year, it seems like, make another GM and head coaching change.
Do you think then, if that deal is made, that we could, if the Redskins don't deal and they decide they're going to get Tua instead of Haskins, do you think we could go 1, 2, 3 with quarterbacks with
that's where I'm
with
going,
Burrow,
Dave.
Tua, and Herbert?
That's where I'm going. And at 4:50 or so, when we have time for a few news and notes, I have all the Detroit line first-round quarterbacks. And sadly, too many good quarterbacks passed on playing for them and went to other leagues.
Not top story of the day.
This one is a great one, Brett. I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter. I think it was Darren Ravel who released it. There is a porn site that says,
yeah, Dave, this is a fan of the show, Dave.
Joe Buck $1 million to announce
Rhymes with
its Cam shows live. And
Come
by
on,
the way,
man. Joe's not taking that.
He says they say, I guess if he doesn't accept, they'll take applications from other national or local sports commentators.
Well, I started to go high hard one for you, but I think I'll use different words. Would you take the deal?
$1 million? Wow. I'd have to think about that one. Probably not, but I'd have to think about it for $1 million.
Check with me in about 2 months.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll see. My not top story, pale in comparison, and everything I say has a double entendre. I don't know why. My not top story, the G League making its biggest splash ever. I don't think it's the death of college basketball, but it's time for a serious examination for college basketball where it really is. Look, we love it here. There are hot spots, pockets, clusters of it around the country that it is as loved as ever. But by and large, across the entire fruited plain, it's become a niche sport. It's not near the national brand of college football. And when Fran Fraschilla, one of the smart voices, and you cut Fran Fraschilla open, college basketball comes out of him. A few years ago on draft night, when he dubbed the international scene as AAA basketball and our college basketball as AA, then college basketball has a problem that it has to address.
Well, when we talk with Bruce, I'm going to make the case. I started to make it yesterday. I'm not sure that in the long run, this new G League thing doesn't help college basketball. I'll explain later.
I'm totally with you.
Yeah, and let's get into that a little bit with Bruce, along with what we may be seeing in Las Vegas here over the next few months.
We'll do that. Bruce Marshall, he's up next. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on AM 560, 87.7, and 96.1 FM.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from
Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more.
Right here, R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 9 a.m., Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Don't miss it.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Flo here with a word that's just weird. Terry cloth. Who exactly is Terry? And why does he get his own fabric? Did he journey below SPF 50? Fight off some weeds in his daffodils? How about a word for everyone? Flotection. Yeah, I just made it up. But I'm not making up how great it feels when me and Progressive protect your new home. Ever think of that, Terry? No, Terry only thinks of himself.
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means the prescription medication to treat ED is super affordable at 4hims.com. And now get your first online doctor's visit free at 4hims.com. That's right. Zero copay, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. That's really good news. To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stotts. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Into the weekend we go, and on Fridays at this time we always have our good friend, one of the big brains of all time in the sports business, from the Gold Sheet. Our friend Bruce Marshall joins us now, and Bruce, we're into weekend number 6 without sports, and I know you miss it so very badly. I was telling Dave I found this great map today from Reuters with every spot in the United States, contiguous 48 and Hawaii and Alaska, and I look out there in your state of Nevada and your neighboring state of Arizona, and maybe even with Utah. I think if Major League Baseball and the NBA really, in a joint agreement, put their thinking caps on, you could work with Vegas and Phoenix and maybe even Salt Lake City or Provo or somewhere, or Logan in Utah, and maybe have those 3 states usher back basketball and baseball.
Yeah, and you're right, Brad, and I think, Phoenix itself can handle a baseball because of all the facilities that they've got there for spring training, which are major league ready, and plenty of spots to accommodate the players. A lot of the teams are based there anyway in spring. But, I mean, you could literally play a full schedule there. There's one caveat with Phoenix, though. Once you get into June, you really couldn't play day games there. You'd have to be at night. That's why they got a roof at Chase Field there. So if you weren't playing there, it'd be tough to play anything other than night. But it could be done in Phoenix because you keep all the teams there. Vegas makes sense for the NBA. There are several venues they could use in Las Vegas. The league comes to Vegas anyway in July every year for the summer league, so they've already locked up Thomas and Mack in the adjacent Cox Pavilion at UNLV. And there's some other venues within Las Vegas that they could use. There's various other logistical things going on, and they'd probably be playing this thing with no fans. But TV could do it. You could play, lots of games every day. And baseball could certainly. They've really talked about that seriously, as we know, down in Phoenix. So it's they're really thinking seriously about that, at least for MLB. Bruce, where are we in terms of starting to open up Las Vegas? We know the Jacksonville Beaches are talking about opening. There are certain places in America where I think starting in 2 weeks we'll see the beginning of the reopening of those economies. Are we anywhere near close where the NBA would go, okay, if we test now, we're going to a place that's relatively safe, we could begin thinking about this? Are you anywhere near that way in terms of cases starting to descend when it comes to COVID-19 in Las Vegas?
It's flattening slightly, but, I mean, we're still a ways off, and the governor still has that lockdown order in place. So Governor Sisolak would have to relax some of the rules, and you have to get into almost maybe the phase 2 before they could do it in Las Vegas. I mean, as of right now, he wouldn't even let the teams that be on the same court to play a game, much less fans in the stands. So they're not there yet. They could get there if things progress well. Within a month they might be able to do it. He might be more inclined to just do what California does here. But I'll tell you, Las Vegas is in a very precarious spot, just economically, because we talked about this before. It is more one-trick pony, not completely tourism only, but tourism huge, and a bigger percentage of the economy in Las Vegas is geared to tourism than anywhere else in the country. That's Orlando included and anywhere else. So there's major problems if they don't get this thing going soon in Vegas. But again, it's also problematic because there isn't also anything other than, like casinos and hotels where you got all these people together at once. So the social distancing thing really doesn't work for casinos. I don't know. They could open it up, though, for something like the NBA, but the casinos and hotels, I don't know.
And, Bruce, we once again see we've just had this debate for forever in the United States over federalism and states' rights. And states' rights is a very loaded term, mostly from either Civil War or Civil Rights movement. And you have that tug of war with the governors, and I'm all for it. It's 50 independent contractors out there to form one. We sometimes get it right and have one perfect union, but they want to be very independent on the good days, and then on the bad days, they feel very dependent. I mean, you hear them saying, leave me alone, I can run mine, but I might need your help. And then I need your help, but leave me alone. And the governor of California, that I think's done a terrific job during this, he has said no sports into the fall. Do you see where in California that the San Francisco 49ers and the two teams in Los Angeles could be playing in different cities?
I guess anything's possible, Brett, and you're right. I mean, all this stuff, it's been the governors really have been the ones shutting this stuff down and opening it up. It's up to them. There's a very tricky legal. They're threading the needle with some things here. They can control things within their state. When it gets into interstate commerce, though, that gets beyond their bounds, and this is sort of a gray area there. Would pro sports be considered interstate commerce? Maybe not in the traditional sense, but it might. And I don't think we're talking about getting stadiums open all the way to fans shortly. It's just getting them open so they could play games and televise them. And I don't think California is even to that point yet. It maybe that's a lower bar to clear, and maybe that will clear there at some point. But that's going to be the problem for pro sports and college sports too, in particular. If this, and I would hope, we're only still mid-April now, and we're 4.5 months before college football would start. But you've got all these different states that are involved with this thing, and there isn't going to be one unified body that's going to say, okay, we're back and we're going to play these games. These states all have to agree. So there's a lot of different hoops to jump through before these things can be played. There's a way to do it, but it could be a little bit tricky with some of these states.
Well, to answer your question, if Major League Baseball is talking about playing, almost half of their game, really more than half of the games they would have played, and to do it in one state or two states if they do the Florida-Arizona deal, so they can get games on TV, and it doesn't matter about people being there. And if the NFL, or I should say the NBA is talking about doing that in Vegas, and they're talking about their playoffs in empty stadiums so that we can get these things on television, we know how much money the NFL gets from all of their network partners. They're clearly going to go, okay, we'll play wherever we can play, and it won't matter because it's really just television sport and fans won't care. So, yeah, absolutely, if California is not going to allow that, the National Football League will go to a state wherever they can find a stadium and where television can put their cameras, and they'll play the games there.
Yeah, they probably would, so they've got some flexibility with that if they had to. And the TV stuff is really going to be important. We'll get a test run overseas. They're talking in most of the major soccer leagues in Europe. They're tentatively planning from mid-May to early June to restart and really run everything full bore, but not with fans in the stands at the start, but at least to get it up and running. And, in a test run TV-wise, that's going to be very important. And I think the NFL's got some flexibility, and it may end up doing that, moving these teams to some spots where they can play. A lot of hoops to jump through, but it can be done.
As a historian,
Bruce, is this one of the is this one of the cases where for college football you're seeing a lot of different people speak out, and there's a lot of voices of college football? Bill Hancock has a big voice. The networks have big voices. The people at networks like Herb Street, Fowler, Reese Davis, they have big voices. There are writers that have big voices. It's going in about 50 directions. Is this the perfect example of why college football needs a commissioner? One voice, one fiat, one strong figure.
Perhaps, Brett, although just by its structure and its the way it's organized, it's sort of like, there's several different entities involved. These conferences are all their own deals. They all have their own contracts with TV. As far as college football, at least, is concerned, it's sort of broken down geographically like that. And by its structure, one, I don't know that a commissioner of college football would be kind of tough just to kind of lasso all these different entities together. But I think college football has got a much more complicated set of things it's going to have to go through to play than the NFL would, just because of that fact you talked about. There isn't a commissioner, and it's not structured really to have that, because each league has its own commissioner. What Greg Sankey says there is different than what Larry Scott in the SEC is different than what Larry Scott says in the Pac-12 and so forth. So there's already these bosses out there, these commissioners, but there's a bunch of them for each conference. So it's going to be tricky for college sports, and I don't know if there's going to be a blanket solution for it. If it's still sort of touch and go in different spots in the fall. Hopefully things will clear up a bit before then, but it's just structurally very tricky with college sports, football in particular.
I agree with you. I think the commissioners of each league have been unable to agree even amongst themselves. You have two conferences that play 9-game college football conference schedules, and the others do not. And we even though we have a national playoff, we have different criteria. And so I understand the need for it, but I think each conference looks after their own, and I think it would really be hard to get that kind of unification where one would agree that one particular person would end up making all the rules for everybody because they're so used to making their own rules. As a historian, there's another story, and Memphis is a part of it. Yesterday, Jalen Green decided to forego coming to the U of M. He said he would have come here if he did not go to the G League with a carrot of $500,000 to come play for an elite team that really is only going to play like 20 games and be part of this developmental thing. And today Isaiah Todd, who by the way signed for only $250,000, he got half the money that Jalen Green did. But the kid that was going to Michigan is now going to be part of this elite team. I think, Bruce, in the long run, this is a move by the NBA to keep the one and done in, to keep that 19-year of age limit in, and if so, I really think that's of benefit to college basketball, because you're talking about really they're going to lose 10 to 12, maybe 15 at the most, great players to this new thing every year, and all the rest are theirs. I honestly believe in the long run this could be a boom, well, not a boom, but this is certainly not going to hurt college basketball.
Yeah, I think you might be right, Dave. I'm wondering this whole G League thing, and I get the concept, and I've kind of written about this in the past and railed for some sort of, the baseball model I think works best, but I'm just not sure how realistic that is to work in basketball or certainly football. The G League, I still think, even if it gets some of these high-profile kids, it is still going to exist sort of in anonymity. For a year, and whenever for the year these kids are there, and they're just not. Nobody's really watching or paying much attention to the G League. Philosophically, it makes more sense because the whole one and done thing is absurd, especially the way it's used by a lot of the schools. I don't like it, and I don't think anybody who really likes college hoops really likes that whole deal. But you might be right. This might be a way the NBA is trying to do something. I mean, if they could get a developmental league going like that, maybe it would be better. I just think it would exist in such anonymity, though. I'm not sure how long they could. That would be a viable thing for some of these guys. We'll see, but it is interesting, and I think you might have a point there.
Bruce, as always, we appreciate it. I know you're sequestered. I'm sure you're doing a lot of Zooms all over the world with all your kids and grandkids, but we appreciate you carving out some time with us each Friday and chatting. And I hope you're healthy.
Yes, you stay well. I have a draft to talk about next week, so we got some stuff next week. Yeah.
And I should point out that we can get more of you by...
Check us out online, goldsheet.com. I got my NFL draft preview up there right now, and we'll put some other best of Gold Sheet stories up there as we go forward.
I guess I should ask you as a little tease, now that the Lions are saying they're willing to deal that third spot, you think we'll see 3 quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3 in the draft?
I don't think so, because I don't think the Redskins are going with a quarterback at 2. It's possible.
You think they'll go Chase Young?
I think they go Chase Young, but it is certainly possible that there's going to be a deal. But I think within the top 5, more likely we can get 3 quarterbacks.
He's Bruce Marshall. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate it.
Okay.
That is our man in Las Vegas, Bruce Marshall, brought to you in part by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, that famous tune-up. I know you want your air conditioning system to work and to work efficiently so that not only are you cool, but it's not making a hole in your wallet in your back pocket. And the way to do that is to get it tuned up, and that's exactly what Conway's been doing for years. They charge you $69, but if you call in the next week or so, you get the early bird special. Say you heard it from me. $57. And what they do is they come in and they'll check for leaks right off the bat. That's the first thing they do. Then they change your filter, and then they go into your system, and there are 16 points that they will tune up. So everything is efficient, running in harmony, and saving you money on your MLGW bill. Then they go outside to the outdoor units, and it's like taking those things to the car wash. They will clean all the dirt and the grime and the leaves from all inside there. Then, those blades on the unit that go around the fan, they will put a Teflon coating on that to protect it from the hot summer sun. You get all of that for $69, or in the next couple of weeks, just $57. Just call 384-3511. 384-3511 for that famous super tune-up from Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. We'll put a wrap on hour number 1 of this Friday edition of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats in just 1 minute.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage, $75 per month level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Termbusters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-800-569-5440. That's 1-800-569-5440. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Termbusters, 1-800-569-5440, or visit our website at termbusters.net. Remember, 1-800-569-5440. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
Hi, I'm Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. Do you have any idea why I never speak the way I am right now? It's because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you do not need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get a customer's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or buy their products? By overcharging you in the first place, that's how. Five-Ash Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service possible and do it at a fair price, why would I need gimmicks to sell it? Best products, best warranties, and best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. 5 Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. 5 Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5 Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means the prescription medication to treat ED is super affordable at 4hims.com. And now get your first online doctor's visit free at 4hims.com. That's right. Zero copay, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. That's really good news. To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Willochen and Brett Norsworthy.
News earlier today that the Detroit Lions are open to dealing for the third pick. I don't think they're trying to deal to necessarily take a quarterback in the first round. The Lions, throughout their history, they've taken 10 first-round quarterbacks. And listen very closely, everyone. The last time the Lions took a quarterback in the first round was when they selected Matthew Stafford in 2009. Before that, it was back to 2002 with the third overall pick, taking Joey Harrington from Oregon. 1990, 7th round, they took Andre Ware. 1986, 12th round, Chuck Long. 1968, they went 1968 to 1986 without taking a first-round quarterback. They took with the 11th pick, Greg Landry from UMass. 1964, 5th pick overall, they took Pete Beathard. He didn't sign with them. He signed with the AFL. 1962, 10th pick overall, they took John Hadle out of Kansas. He didn't sign with them. He signed with AFL. 1949, 2nd overall pick, more famous for being the Raiders head coach in Super Bowl II, out of Georgia, John Rock. 1948, 6th overall pick, Y.A. Tittle. He didn't sign with them. 1944, 4th overall pick, Otto Graham out of Northwestern. He didn't sign with them. He signed with the Browns that were not in the NFL then, and Y.A. Tittle signed with somebody that wasn't in the wasn't in the NFL yet then either. So the Lions, through the years, Matthew Stafford's about the only time they've really gotten it right.
For Wyatt Tittle and Otto Graham, and they never even played for that.
Never suited out.
That is absolutely
or John
incredible.
Hadle. John Hadle was a good player.
And the best guy. Oh yeah, he was. John Hadle was a really good player. And the best guy or the last guy they got in here, who they've had for 11 years, hasn't produced a playoff. So tough go for the Detroit Lions. Hey, I've got some really good news that is just breaking. The mayor is easing some of his stances pertaining to one of our favorite sports, and that's golf. The links at Whitehaven City Golf Course is going to reopen tomorrow, Saturday, April the 18th, in the first loosening of restrictions in the city's state of civil emergency. Jim Strickland announced the reopening as a test. If it goes well, it could lead to the reopening of other city golf courses. And I don't know if I've told you this, Brett, but I've either been taking long walks with my wife, or I've been riding my bike. And actually, I rode my bike today with my wife. And we tend to like to go to Galloway and ride the golf course on the cart path. And it ends up being a nice 45-minute, pretty good exercise kind of ride. And I can't tell you what great shape it is in. Some people are still playing it, and nobody's stopping them. But there's no holes or flags in the green. But the golf course, because nobody's played it for a month really, is in terrific shape. And so tomorrow, Whitehaven will open up, and that is a 9-hole golf course, the old Whitehaven Country Club site that was redone and really nicely done, but it's only 9 holes from the original
Home
18.
of your hole-in-one.
It is the site of my home. Man, your memory, of course, you never forget a thing. But
I had to read it in the newspaper. You didn't even call and tell me, and I never got my soft drink out of it either. But never mind.
You don't expect me to be braggadocious, do you?
I had to read about it in the newspaper.
Hey, all I can say is I'm happy because this is a test case, and if it works, they're going to open up all these golf courses, and that will be outstanding.
I hope so. I hope so, and I do think once the restraints are loosened, that we will storm back to life. But I am scared of hearing all the experts talk about the second wave. Dave, I just think it almost would be more cruel than the first one, and this has been cruel, if we had to shut everything down again.
Well, I'm fearful just from the very first bit of news I told you on Top Story of the Day. I know we're getting past this, but we just had 108 new cases and 3 more deaths from the 25
serious.
hours ago that I talked to you. So
Yeah.
this is still fragile.
And I know people are going to text, and I fully understand this. I know life has inherent risk. Some seen and some not seen. But when we've had this and we've made these strides and we've paid this price, and and a lot of people have paid a heavy price with businesses and lost income and shattered dreams, for that matter. I just think if we had to shut it down again, would really be crushing to psyche and to business financial bottom lines. 1 hour in the books. When we come back, we go down to New Orleans. They've been hit devastatingly by COVID-19, the coronavirus. We visit with our friend Mike Detillier from WWL to start hour number 2. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on AM 560, 87.7 and 96.1 FM.
I'm Dr. George Flynn, president of Flynn Broadcasting. On behalf of everyone associated with Flynn Broadcasting, we want to wish you good health, especially in this coronavirus situation. You can be the hero. All you have to do is practice social distancing. That's right, 6 feet away from other people, and you'll be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Also, if you feel ill and have a cough or fever, get tested so you'll know if you have coronavirus or not. I'm Dr. George Flynn with Flynn Broadcasting. We'll keep you connected while you maintain your physical social distance. So keep listening to this Flynn Broadcasting station, because we're in this fight with you, and we're going to help you stay connected.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between, in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, ah, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Hi, this is Rob Brown. Join Pete Cordelli and me Saturdays 8 to 9 a.m. for Sidelines here on Sports 56 WHBQ, 87.7 FM and 96.1. We'll cover the Memphis Tigers, the SEC, and your favorite team. Give us a call. That's Sidelines, Saturday mornings 8 to 9 a.m. Sidelines is presented by Duncan Williams Asset Management. So get up and give us a call.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Hour number 2 starts on this Friday afternoon with our friend from down in New Orleans from WWL. That's Mike Detillier on a lot of topics, including the Pelicans and the NBA, with the announcement today that they're looking at a 25% player pay cut in May for they're going to pay them on the May 1st period. That's up next 2 weeks from today, but that they may have to endure a pay cut. Mike Detillier, he joins us now. And, Mike, let's start right there with the NBA. We were hoping down the stretch we would have a Pelicans-Grizzlies battle to the end for that 8th and final playoff spot. I don't know that they will ever try to resume the season, if for no other reason, to get their 70 games in for their local TV contracts. What do you think about the news today of cuts coming from the NBA for players?
That didn't surprise me, I'll be honest. I was talking to a few friends of mine. We had a little Skype chat, and they brought that up a couple of weeks ago. They thought this would happen, that eventually you would start to see some of the cuts in the sports world. So this wasn't really a shock for me, to be honest.
Mike, it is interesting to me because we've had this G League story where they are now going to pay, and they've done two players so far. Jalen Green, who is coming to Memphis, they're paying him $500,000 for this elite G League team, and they're paying $250,000 to Isaiah Todd. He signed up today. They're probably going to have 10 to 15 guys to form this new sort of elite branch of the G League at a time where they're going to cut players' salary. They're going to spend all this money on unproven new talent coming in. What's the sense around where you are about that move?
Well, I think what you're looking at, that tells you that their part in this is I'm looking for the future. And right now, the present guys have to pay the price for some of the new guys that are coming in. We sort of live in that environment today where, man, $500,000, that feeling is, man, look what I'm paying some of these guys here. I'm looking for the future down the road. We know it's not going to be any time soon that NBA basketball will return or return in the same manner. So if something happens later in the summer, we'll just have to see. But I think this is a management decision across the board that, we can't just let everything fall apart here. Let's worry about what we down the road. So they more worried about that young player than some of the players they have on their team today. And that's evidence of it. That's just one element of it.
That is.
That they're already thinking for the future. They're not – right now is so much uncertainty. And, listen, you can bring up a lot of different scenarios, and who knows? It's the same thing like with the college football season or the NFL season of what sort of happens. But I think right now, for some in the NBA, their thinking is, you know what? If we don't have anything for the rest of the year, let's do something down the road. And I think those type decisions are being made in the NBA.
And, Mike, very fair for people to ask, look, if you're making 25% player cuts, where is the refund of my money for the games missed for the tickets I already bought?
Exactly. And listen, I've got some friends of mine that big basketball fans. They've spent a lot of money, where they're sitting at. And for one particular person, he's got a suite. And yeah, you can say, well, he can afford it. Well, okay. He's not working either right now. Okay.
And he didn't make his money being dumb. He wants his money.
No. And his deal is, I'm like the players. I'm not working either right now. But when one thing with Major League Sports, something like the Catholic Church. They know how to pass that collection. It becomes difficult when they want you to take that money out of there. So, but you could see this, guys, that eventually this was going to happen, and that, again, fans, they're going to get shortchanged out of this if you put up that money, and veteran players. And I tell veteran players a lot of times, hey, just be careful with your money now. You never know when something's going to happen. And now they're asking you to take that pay cut, but they're willing to pay that young guy. They're willing to pay that younger guy a little bit of money now because he's their part of their future. They consider you almost part of their past. It happens.
On the part of the refunds, though, and not that I want to side with management here at all, but you can't really give refunds until you canceled the season. And last I looked, Adam Silver has not canceled the season. In fact, he's come out and said they're not making any decisions until May. I think it's pretty evident now that if they do have a season, it'll be without fans, so they should give the money back as of right now anyway.
Oh, well, I think it's evident that if they have a season that you won't have people in the stands. And so you got to worry, too, about what type of impact this does for the future when you're trying to sell season tickets and regular tickets and suite sales, everything else. You got to think about that, too, what type of impact that's going to have. And everybody's taking financial hits across the board here. But all I know is, if you own an NBA team or an NFL team, you didn't make minimum wage. And if you did, it was many, 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 many years ago. So there is, that part of it, the business part and other parts that we're managing. But you can see it, that those people that spent their money this year, more likely than not, will not be at an NBA game this year. It just won't happen. So what's the delay with it? Now, I think what they'll offer them is, hey, okay, we've got your money. We can throw this into what's going to be the 2020-21 season. And so my thing about it is, if that was my money, my thing is, well, you can't assure me of when I'm going to be back in that auditorium anyway. So give me my money back.
Mike Detillier, our guest down in New Orleans at WWL, covers the LSU National Championship Tigers very, very closely. And, Mike, unless there is an upset of U.S. hockey over the Soviet Union proportions, Thursday night, the first name called by Roger Goodell will be Joe Burrow, drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. They can't mess this up, can they?
Well, I'm not real sure about that. But, I would be shocked if it wasn't Joe Burrow. And I think that they're probably going to get a couple of nice offers late to see about trading back. And there's always a Godfather offer that you can't refuse. There's always that percentage that you could get that. But let me say this about as delicately as I can, because I got almost 89-year-old mom. And, she's setting her ways, okay? And you ain't changing her mind about nothing, no matter what. You got an 85-year-old owner of the Cincinnati Bengals? You're not changing his mind either. Yeah, Mike wants Joe Burrow, and that's the way it's going to be. You just got to accept it. And, I think about a year, if I would have told you that a year ago, you wouldn't have believed it. And Joe was a good player.
Not a chance.
But nobody would have believed that he would have been the first overall pick in the draft. And, him being from Ohio and those ties there. And I think also Mike looks at the financial part of this, that when this is going to clear, and eventually it'll happen, and you'll be able to put people in the stands, Joe Burrow's impact of people being more interested in the Bengals and buying tickets. And also, too, what I can't tell you is, other than I have a few buddies of mine that have some throwback jerseys. And I asked him, how much did they get off of that? Nah, man, I don't get a lot of money. But, boy, does the team get money off of that jersey, because they have that label on it. Yeah. And I still hear one of them squawking about he ain't getting his money. But again, it goes to show you that money's pouring in from different avenues. And Joe Burrow's impact on and off the field would be really difficult for Mike Brown to pass on him and to go somewhere else. So it would have to be a Godfather offer. And I know the Dolphins could potentially do it, but I still believe that, once they got that first pick and seeing Burrow play, that end of the story. He's headed to Cincinnati.
I think he is too, because he's also from that area, and immediately sales went up, as you said. So I agree with that. But I got to ask you, you've seen Tua up close and personal. I don't know if you ever saw Justin Herbert, the kid from Oregon, in person.
I sure have. And he came.
Are you certain that Burrow, and I think we're all in agreement, he's going to Cincinnati. Nothing, unless, as you say, a Godfather offer that is just too unbelievable occurs. He's going there, but is he clearly the best of those three guys?
I think he's clearly the best of the three guys, because I can't tell you about the health of Tua, and no one else can. I can't, and I'm not worried about his ankle. Those surgeries on his ankle, that was to speed up the rehab process. I work with orthopedic surgeons every day, so I get the info on that, and that's not a major deal to me. The hip is that's an issue where blood flow, everything else is somewhat limited. How well he'll come back, how quickly he can come back. It's good to be young. At 21, you're going to come back a lot quicker than you would at 31. That might have been a career ender at a 31-year-old had it. As a 21-year-old, man, listen, God bless you with some of those healing processes that you can come back from it. But there's no guarantee of that. And, I got to spend a lot of time with Justin. He was here at the Manning camp, just a big, good-looking guy. I mean, a big raw-boned kid from out northwest. And we were laughing because, I work with H-E-B-E-R-T, and, he's H-E-R-B-E-R-T. And they are related somewhere down the line.
Somewhere.
And so Bobby's deal is, his family probably got in trouble one time. That's why they put that R in that name, not to try
That's right. To give him the shake.
And that's possible. But, I think about, here's a kid that grew up 4 miles from the campus of Oregon. He was not highly recruited. And the career he's had there, he's been a game changer for the Oregon Ducks program. He's not a gregarious guy, but you can see he's got some really good leadership skills. The thing that jumps at me is a lot of times is obvious throws that, to me, a really good quarterback would make. He misses. And I think about late against Auburn, what is he doing that final play? Where did he think that was going at that point in time against Auburn? And I've seen him do that a number of times, even sort of late in the game or right at half, to throw a ball completely out of bounds. And you wonder, why would you do that? So his decision-making process, nothing to do with him physically, and he's a really great guy to be around, really is. And the kid responded to him. So you can tell he has leadership skills. And same thing with Tua. I think he's the most accurate passer I've seen in the SEC since Peyton Manning. He's got it. He's Drew Brees-like in a lot of ways, in that he fools you with his eyes. Because he looks one way and he throws the other. And you're a defender, and you see him eye someone and then he throws it another direction. Does a great job with that. But I can't tell you about his health. If he was a healthy Tua, then we got a huge debate going on here between both of them.
Yeah, and Tua probably had the greatest. Tua probably had the greatest college career that was so kind of star-crossed with injury, and he did win a national championship, but that was coming in as in the relief role. But Mike, there was a time I thought he might win 2 Heismans, and he didn't win 1.
Yeah, I really did, because I thought, as a sophomore, man, down the stretch, after he beat and played against LSU, my thing is he's got that in his pocket. Because you know what? I saw that before. A few years back, Leonard Fournette went into that Alabama game as everybody, he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. And by the end of the game, it was Derrick Henry. Derrick won the Heisman that night. He walked away.
That's right.
But he finished it up real strong. And then all of a sudden, you see what Kyler Murray's doing at Oklahoma. And he was able to catch Tua in that spot after, Tua had got kind of banged up a little bit. But, just the respect I have for him. I saw him play on one leg against LSU. This national championship team, he was playing on one leg. Look what he did in that game. I mean, just remarkable. And I've talked to Coach Hill about it, and he's told me many times, good gracious, Mike, I'm sure glad he's gone. I'm sure glad he's out of there, that I don't have to play him anymore. And how I knew he had made progress with his hip, he was the winner of the Bobby Bowden Award, and we gave it out the Friday before the national championship game of Monday. So, backstage, I go meet Tua, and we exchanging that Ogeron stories. And like I told him, mine are a lot better than yours. And he laughed, and he said, oh, yeah, they sure are. But he walked with no limp. And this is early January, walks with no limp. Well, I wanted to watch him was when he went to accept the award from Coach Bowden, there was some stairs to climb to get to that. And I wanted to see, did he grab the hand railing? He walked up there, didn't even grab it. He just walked up the steps. Just walked out, and I was like, man, here's a guy who's just come off that hip injury, and he sort of, did it quickly, almost like he was running stadiums, right up the steps to accept the award. And I'm like, man, that's impressive. Well, I wish I was 21 again.
Me
to
too.
move that way, after a surgery like what he had, and he's a natural-born leader. Just listen how Nick Saban talked about him. Guys, have you ever heard him talk about anyone like that? No one. I've been around Nick when he was here. I never heard him give out those sort of plaudits to anyone like he did with Tua. I mean, he was just overflowing with it, and it goes to show the impact he's had in the Southeast Conference. And, I think about these two guys changed the SEC completely. On two teams that were noted for running the football, what Joe Burrow and what Tua Tagovailoa have done to the SEC. At those two programs.
Mike, switching gears just a little bit here, the story came out earlier this week that Drew Brees, when he retires, will become an analyst for NBC. I think he's going to be the Sunday night football guy who will come in and be NBC's number one guy when he decides to retire. Is Drew Brees going to be that good a football analyst?
I think he's real good. He does a segment with us every week. Now, it's quarterback to quarterback, and I don't have to tell y'all who's the other quarterback. So he gets in his answers real quick. He's learned that, Bobby, it takes that breath, dude, get in your answers real fast. And, because Bobby's, and I'm not teasing about Saber, you're the only guy that can ask a question, answer it, and then debate yourself before that other guy got a chance to answer it. And he laughs about it, but it is true. But, I've seen him, and he handles that very well. Now, I think the hardest thing, and I've talked to former players about it, and having worked with Hokie, having worked with Deuce and Zach, the hardest thing, and even Archie, the hardest thing is to be critical of another player. And that's going to happen. You're going to have to do it. But he knows this game very well. It's in his mind. He sort of sees it before it happens. And I'm not saying he's going to be Tony Romo, but when Tony got that job, there were a lot of people, man, Tony Romo's not that good. He's not going to be good. No, Tony Romo is really good doing this. And I think Drew will be similar in that he can see something formation-wise, what a team's going to do, and he can see it, instantly. And I think he'll translate very well into the media. He really will. He's got a great personality with things, and he's a natural for it. I always thought that for a short time, Peyton would do it. I thought Peyton was the best I ever saw do this. You're talking to him, and he's telling you about a bunch of different things and sort of that deal. But I think, Peyton's game is eventually to run a team one day like Elway. But I think Drew will do very well on NBC, and I wouldn't be surprised you see him, doing some of these college games early on when, college football comes back. I think you'll see him doing some of that, and I think Propose looks as though he may be involved in Notre Dame football.
Yeah, Mike, we're short on time, and I'm sorry for doing you like this with this question manner, but you've mentioned Bobby Hebert, and we have talked about on our show the passing of his dad from the virus, and also for Saint legend Tom Dempsey, he of the 63-yard field goal, his passing of the virus. You knew them both well. You had Tom Dempsey on the air quite often, and Dave and I, we go all the way back to the USFL. Dave was the sideline reporter for the Memphis Showboats against the Oakland Invaders and Bobby Hebert. I was sitting in the stands drinking 16-ounce Budweisers out of the can, so I wasn't doing anything at those games. But I've always had a fondness for Bobby Hebert, and I love T-Bob. I know it's been rough on y'all.
Yeah, and he was so full of life. Loved LSU. Quick story is the Wednesday, and he passed away on Saturday morning. His big thing was to talk to Coach O. So made the connection. Coach O called him, and he's just gotten off the ventilator, and he was like, "Baby, listen, baby, when I get out of here, I gotta go watch y'all practice." Coach O was, "Listen, Mr. Bob, don't worry about it. I'm gonna set you up." He said, "Listen, baby, I can't stand for a long time. I gotta sit down." He's like, "Mr. Bob, don't worry about it. You just get well, and when you're ready to come to practice, I got a place that you can sit and watch the entire practice." Oh, he said, "Man, I can't believe it." Now, here's a guy. He's fighting for his life. You know what he's worried about? Where he's going to sit to watch LSU practice. God bless him. I mean, he is, that deal of forever LSU. No, he's forever LSU. That was his deal. I never saw him so happy. He was happy when they won the national championship, but when he was really happy? When they beat Alabama. Yeah. He was just thrilled that they had beaten Alabama. Finally had beaten them. And to see that Ed was on the sideline. And Tom was a great guy. Tom was a great guy. We did a lot of TV radio together, and he always tells the story about how, when he kicked the 63-yard field goal, it was not the call of the head coach. It was not J.D. Roberts that told him to go kick it at all. And it was Don Heinrich. Now, remember Don was the voice of Washington Huskies. He put out a magazine in the 80s and 90s, pro and college football. Don was the running backs coach. Don had seen Stumpy kick. And they're thinking about letting Billy just throw one up into the end zone. And he was like, no. He said, let Stumpy kick it. And Stumpy said, all Heinrich told him was, Stumpy, just give it a ride. And he gave it a ride. Now, you know what? Dempsey had kicked longer ones in practice and in pregame, but Tom was, Mike, I ain't never kicked one under pressure. Never like that. And everybody talks about the sound when he hit it. It was like a cannon. And Tom says he has no recollection of that. He said, only thing I was worried about was getting it over the arms of the guys up front, because you got to hit it a little bit lower to get it, the trajectory of it. And he said, Mike, I'm looking, and it looked like the ball had helium in it because it stayed in the air forever. And he said, I've seen one guy throw his hands up. And he said, the crowd erupted. And he said, you know what? We had 70,000 people that day. Half of them left to go to their car once the Lions scored with less than a minute. And I've heard from almost 1 million people about how they saw that kick.
that guy that raised his hand, stuff. I'm almost certain that was Alex Karras.
It was Alex Karras. Mike, thank you so much for your time, and we'll catch up again after the draft and see just how many LSU players get selected. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, guys. Y'all take care.
You too. Stay healthy.
Mike Detillier down in New Orleans at WWL. And Dave, we remember the Bobby Hebert, Anthony Carter heartbreaker in the 85 USFL playoffs, don't we?
Oh, we do, and it's really one of the few downs that I can ever remember about those showboats, because that was, for me, just such a positive experience. And honestly, it'll probably go down as the only spring league ever to be successful. This portion of our show, in fact, this hour of our program, is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. And you know the special they got going on right now, 0% financing for 84 months. That's 7 years. You will never pay any interest on your note. And to make it even spicier, how about 120 days to make the first payment on select models? That's 3 months before you even have to pay a darn thing. Oh, they just make it so easy for you at Homer and at Genesis of Olive Branch. They do. That's the standard, I think, for all of car dealerships now. They go out of their way to make it easy for you and to bring these great products. And they're so good. The Genesis cars, the Hyundais, they're so good you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every car. They last forever, and my Genesis is just the finest luxury car going. I can promise you my G70 is the fastest car I've ever had, and it performs so beautifully, and it's so safe. So much technology, so much good in both Hyundais and in those G cars. All you got to do is go take a look. Get on Lamar. It's Highway 78 when you hit State Line Road, and then you're there. Craft Road's the very first exit in Mississippi. Turn left, go say hello to Chris True and all the gang. You'll love it at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We take a break, and when we come back, Gabe Kuhn on no spring football and ramifications. What does that do to a program? Oh, we'd be almost at Friday Night Stripes right now if only we had spring football. Not to be, but Gabe talks about it in a minute on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Hi, I'm Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Five-Ash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. 5 Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5 Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
This is a commercial announcement. Did China really cover up the coronavirus outbreak? Are they telling us the full truth of where the virus came from and how many of their people were really infected? Are they also holding back critical medical supplies? Now, Greg Kelly Reports gives the shocking answers to those questions on Newsmax TV. So tune into Greg Kelly Reports tonight on Newsmax TV. It's already the fastest growing cable news channel in America, carried on every major cable system, including DirecTV, Xfinity, Dish, Spectrum, Optimum, Cox, Fios, Uverse, Suddenlink, WOW, and more. Just check your cable guide today. And don't forget to vote in Newsmax's national poll, asking Americans if they support President Trump's handling of the crisis. It's easy to vote. Just text the word OPEN to 39747. That's OPEN to 39747. Let your voice be heard about President Trump. Just text the word OPEN to 39747 and watch Newsmax TV. It's real news for real people.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Germantown Commissary or Collierville Commissary, big Q of the day coming up after we visit with our friend Gabe Kuhn. He's with us at Sports 56 WHBQ. We're glad to have him. We love visiting with Gabe during the football season every Tuesday afternoon. You can follow Gabe on Twitter at G_Kuhn, Kuhn 71. He played so well for the Tigers, and we visited with him during the football season. And Gabe, it just kills me that Tiger fans would be assembling right now for the spring game tonight. And I know a lot of players probably aren't too sad that they missed the spring game, but I love spring football. It's a little bit of a tease for after the long break, after the season was over, before the long summer is ahead of us. But it's more than just that, especially for your position group. I guarantee you, Gabe, good afternoon. And offensive line
Absolutely.
play next year, it'll look like we missed spring, won't it?
100%. I mean, good afternoon to you guys. I miss you guys, man. I haven't seen you in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be absolutely bizarre. We were, a couple hours away from the scheduled, what would have been Friday Night Stripes. So it's just still so eerie and bizarre. But you're definitely going to see a huge difference in sort of readiness coming up this year. You talk about fall camp being a big acclimation period, getting used to having the pads on in the summer and everything like that. It looks like that will be completely delayed, if not missed all the way through. But spring football is one of the biggest parts of your year because you get to get some of that work and understand the schemes that are going to be asked of you. And I've said it a million times. I think it's going to be incredibly vital this season to have a returning coach, to have returning players. And I know every year it's sort of the same. You can't plan for a pandemic, but counting those returning starters, counting a returning coach, that's going to be so massive when you talk about the readiness of some of these teams getting into the season. The biggest thing that you miss here, and I'm going to say this on the defensive side, it worries me the most, because here's Mike McIntyre, who's actually going to change the scheme a little bit. So that's one worry. But what do you think overall the biggest plus that a coach gets out of spring practice?
The biggest plus, just the fact to be able to get your schemes in. I mean, like you can talk about them all you want. I know that various schools are doing Zoom meetings. You can go through them all you want, and there are some players that can see it once and go do it. But I can tell you from my experience, you have to get coached. You have to know the fundamental. You have to get your footwork correct. The coaches have to see what the play looks like out there on the field with moving parts before they can actually
know if that's the right scheme. So, I mean, I think more than anything, not being able to see these guys in motion and get some schemes in that you thought you were going to be able to get in is going to be the biggest miss of this whole thing.
And gave the team camaraderie, the team building during this period. Now, the entire student body across the country, around the world, nobody's in school, but it's just hard to build that collegiality that you have to build with a football team that would be being built right now. And tonight, not necessarily the actual spring game. It's really one of the least important aspects. It's very important for the fans, but for the team building and the work being put in. And now you're going to miss that over the summer months. If we have football and, the starter's pistol goes off on August 1, it will be a very awkward reintroduction for a lot of people. And it's why it's so important the continuity kept by Laird Veach and Dr. Rudd in hiring Coach Silverfield.
100%. That's one thing I wanted to allude to is it's going to be vital for him, the fact that he has Brady White as a godsend for him this year. It would be so tough to go into a new year with a new quarterback, try to teach him new schemes, and just throw him in there come August 1, whenever they start up. Because, I mean, because the truth be told, it's unknown. I mean, they talk about February start. They've talked about maybe pushing it up. They've talked about maybe by the end of May having an answer, and I think that's when they really do need to have a clear-cut answer at this point. Is by the end of May, but we don't even know when kids are going to get back to school at this point. So until you have students back on campus, until the student body returns, I can't imagine that any football or any sports will be played, and you're missing out on so much good team time. You're missing out on so much continuity. You're missing out on so much just team building that you would have had you been able to have spring ball and work out at this point in the year, getting into fall camp.
Well, let's face it. Spring ball is done. We're not having Friday night stripes. You can get your poster if you go to the website. They're doing all kinds of neat things with that. But
it's sharp. It is.
But, yeah, it is. But we're not getting that. So now let's look forward. And and I know we don't know when this will be. But Gabe, knowing that you've lost that spring, how much time do you really think a team needs before they can hit the field for their first game?
Oh my gosh! The thing is, and I was glad to see the NCAA sort of lift some restrictions as far as the Zoom meetings go, because at first they were keeping it on normal hours. Now I think they're allowing 8 hours a week to talk to these guys. You have to find any and every way to get these guys on Zoom calls, going over schemes, meeting up with each other at the field. You have to find any and every way. And I think a lot of this will have to come down to the players sort of meeting up with each other and taking it upon themselves to go get some work done before the season. But I don't even know a number that I could put on that, Dave. I really don't, because of the amount. You have 15 spring practices. You're missing out on hours and hours of film and on field that you just can't make up. I think it will absolutely show when football comes back. I don't really know. It's an interesting question you bring up, because I don't know a number. I really don't know a number that could really get you back to normal as far as being ready for the season.
And what if somebody lets themselves fall terribly out of shape, and you have to use that valuable, if we have an August period, of having to get somebody in shape?
I think that's inevitable too. I think that's
it will happen.
Inevitable. You just have to find a way, and that's why I said there's going to be with these kids, and I know you can't trust them all the time to do the right thing at 18 to 22 years old. I know I couldn't be trusted at all times to be, doing everything.
It's why they're 18 to 22, Gabe.
Exactly. I mean, they're probably sitting back, a couple of them having some Bud Lights on the couch right now, but at the same time, they have to have the accountability to do the right thing. And I think that's a huge disadvantage for strength coaches, for head coaches, for position coaches, because they have no control over it right now. They have zero control, and they're used to you got to understand coaches are used to having all the control in the world at this time of the year, with kids sort of finishing up school, getting into finals, doing things like that, doing workouts as well. They're used to having control, and this time around, it is just so unlike anything we've ever seen that these kids are just inevitably, going to, whether they're, doing everything they can, they're still going to fall short of what normal is. Normal is usually, obviously going through spring ball, doing some summer drills, skills and drills to get your schemes correct, doing all this running, doing with the strength coach, doing all the lifting with the strength coach. No matter what you do, you're going to fall short of that because you don't have those things at your disposal. So the best that you can hope for is that your players take it upon themselves. I think there's a lot of guys that will. And then again, those 18 and 22-year-olds sitting on the couch playing Call of Duty and drinking Red Bull and vodkas, you can't do anything about it, So I think it's inevitable that some people will come up short. But at the end of the day, I think everyone is at a disadvantage, especially, when you look at new coaches trying to go in there. I think Mike Norvell is going to be at a disadvantage as well, coming into a program where you look at, it's been a struggle.
Good point.
I mean, they're coming off 3 to 4 years of pretty bad football, pretty lousy football, not holding guys accountable. And you literally cannot hold guys fully accountable to what you want them to do at this moment. And that's going to work.
He left a better team
than
he's walking into.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Because the one thing that I will say is, again, going to help Brian Silverfield is the continuity. Like I can't imagine, I've had conversations with them. I don't think they're going to switch up a whole lot of verbiage. I don't think they're going to switch up a whole lot of the scheme. I think it's going to be relatively the same, obviously a different play caller, so the timing of everything will go. Defense is sort of going to be on their own. They're working at that disadvantage. But I think when you look at the continuity here for Ryan Silverfield as opposed to what Mike Norvell's going into, it's going to be a whole lot tougher for Mike Norvell.
But the one difference, and there's nothing like experience. Mike Norvell's been a head coach now for a number of years. This is Ryan's first crack to really be a head coach. I think I think he was a high school head coach. But
in Florida
at this level, this is the first time for him. And that's the worst part, is this would have been the best way to get your feet wet. Now, he's really going to be thrown into the fire if indeed we have a football season this fall.
Oh, God, yeah. I had to joke with him, too. I talked to him on the phone about a couple weeks ago, and I just said, the luck of you to come in and a pandemic shuts down your whole spring season. You're probably not going to have fall camp. I mean, good God, that's got to be the worst thing ever. But, I mean, in the end of the day, you look at what he's been able to do here so far. Obviously, he's going to have to be thrown into the fire come fall camp, whenever that may be, or whatever, the winter camp. I don't know what will happen, but he's going to have to buckle down and be ready to be thrust into that position. I know he was chomping at the bit to get into spring ball, but spring ball as compared to fall camp, when you have sort of a deadline to get into the season, is going to be a lot more stressful. So we'll see how he handles it. We will.
Last thing for our friend Gabe Kuhn on Tigers football, and I don't mean this to be a wise guy, but seriously, you think about it. If there's no fall semester in traditional classes, but Brady White takes stuff online, and then he has to have regular classes in the spring if we try a spring. Heck, by the time Brady White gets through here, he could have his PhD.
Oh, I mean, he might already have it. We don't know. He might already have it. He's been in college for quite a while, but Brady is a bright kid, man. And by the time he leaves Memphis, he ought to have a doctorate, whatever the hell you can get for being in
He'll
college.
have every degree you can get.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The grand scheme of things.
He's taking.
The grand scheme of things, if you talked to him last year as we were approaching fall camp, he wasn't going to try to get his doctorate. And then he found a program where he could get his doctorate if he stayed another year after this. And so he decided he would get it. He will be Dr. Brady White by the time he would be drafted in the NFL if he were to be drafted next year. They would say
that is amazing.
And with the fifth round pick of the Chicago Bears, we would take Dr. Brady White.
Yeah, he makes them put the doctor in front. You would think that would convince some teams to go ahead and take him. Being that bright, having a doctorate by the time you get out of college, I think some teams would be pretty impressed with that.
You have your doctorate with us, Gabe. It's in football, and we appreciate you joining us. Have a great weekend. I'm sorry we don't get to see each other, but we'll see each other again soon.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Thank you,
Stay
Gabe.
healthy, my friend.
Gabe Kuhn.
Always
Gabe Kuhn. Just so much fun.
All right, I
really
want to
is,
be
Dave.
generous. I want to be generous. It's, of course, up to you to make sure that we are responsibly generous. We're going to give away a big Q. That's a 6-pack of Germantown barbecue or Collierville Commissary barbecue. Either way you want it, you get a 6-pack of pulled shoulder. We all love it. If you want to add ribs to that, and by the way, you can go tonight. Get ribs, you can get shoulder, you can get chicken. They have still everything on the menu. They do it as a curbside pickup in Germantown. In Collierville, you can go through the drive-thru. But they've got it all going. If you want to get banana pudding or icebox lemon pie, they can do that for you as well. All you got to do is get there. You know where the original is, in that little quaint neighborhood, old Germantown. And then the new one, Poplar and Houston Levy Road, that right there in that big shopping center. It is on the south side of the street. You've been there before. You know what I'm talking about. You can get that easy. You can even call in advance so there's less passing of money or credit cards. Just give them the number over the phone. Get your cue tonight from Germantown or Collierville Commissary, and we want to give away a 6-pack today. So after the break, we'll take your phone calls on the First Bank phone line, 360-8255. What have they got to answer, Mr. Norsworthy?
You got it, 360-8255 at the First Bank phone lines for a 6-pack of barbecue at either the Collierville or Germantown Commissary, 360-8255. The Detroit Lions, the last time they took a quarterback in the first round, he went number 1 overall. Who is he? Who was he? Who is he now?
Who is
He's
he?
very
Still
good.
playing.
He's got every record they have in the quarterback department, but not much in the playoffs, as that's been the Lions for too long. Again, you only win one playoff game with Barry Sanders. That's tough. I don't know that Buffalo ever won. I think they only played in one playoff game with O.J. Simpson. So it's happened before, but the Lions, they seem to always have it happen. 360-8255 for a 6-pack of barbecue at the Germantown or Collierville Commissary. We'll get that after the break, round out hour number 2, start hour 3 with our agent based in Chicago but native Memphian, our friend Andy Schiffman. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on AM 560, 87.7 and 96.1 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
I want to invite you to come by the Spirit Shop. You know, that little log cabin on Poplar, your liquor and wine oasis. The Spirit Shop has been providing sports fans their beverage needs since way back in 1969. So come in now and get ready for the big game. Whether your favorite team wins or loses, the Spirit Shop will help you celebrate or ease that pain away. The Spirit Shop is open every day, and they're located perfectly at 4848 Poplar. That's the corner of Poplar and St. Nick.
This is Joanne Jenkins, CEO of AARP. The coronavirus continues to affect us all, and we are here actively supporting you and your community. Every day, we're providing trusted information from top health experts, sharing tools to help protect families from fraud, and creating resources to support family caregivers everywhere. As always, you can count on AARP to advocate for you and your family. Join us and stay connected at aarp.org/coronavirus.
Hey, sports fans, you already know the Butcher Shop has been a great Memphis tradition since 1981, and it still is. The Butcher Shop is absolutely open for your takeout with curbside pickup or Grubhub delivery because the Butcher Shop is still serving your favorite steaks, fish, and seafood. But now you can also pick them up raw and take them home to cook. You get the highest quality from the butcher shop and the comfort of home cooking. All wine and beer selections can be sold and picked up curbside as well. Plus, order curbside and pickup and receive 10% off your food order. And how about Burger Fridays? Treat your company to lunch, and the Butcher Shop will deliver Hamburger Friday any day of the week with all the fixins for just a minimum $250 order. The Butcher Shop is here for you, so don't worry about getting a great meal. The Butcher Shop has cooked or uncooked meals for curbside pickup or Grubhub delivery. Call 757-4244 or online at thebutchershop.com. The Butcher Shop at the Agri Center, Walnut Grove, and Germantown Parkway.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
360-8255 if you want to take a swing at the six-pack of barbecue from the Germantown Commissary. We've got full calls right now. We'll make room for you if D, Paul, or Philip swing and miss. Let's go in order and start with D. Good afternoon, D. How are you?
How are you? Is it Matthew Stafford?
Matthew Stafford, number 1 overall in 2009 out of Georgia. He's been great. They just hadn't been any good. That's the Lions, isn't it, D?
Yeah. It's about time that he go ahead and get traded to the Patriots and the Lions draft Tua, but it ain't going to happen that way, guys.
Oh, I kind of like that idea, though, D.
Wow.
Do you know something? Are you Lions insider?
No. The absolute crazy part is I'm a 49er fan. I actually wanted to trade Garoppolo back to the Patriots and we take Tom Brady, but hey.
Well, you know the biggest fan of Jimmy Garoppolo in this very city is Dave Woloshin. He loves Jimmy G.
Wolo, welcome to the club, good sir.
Jimmy G's the real deal.
He's okay. I mean, he ain't a Elvis Gerbach, but hey.
All I know is they got to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, they did.
I like that deal. You know what?
He got tight late.
Stafford might absolutely be incredible with the Patriots.
Yeah, he's
at least,
hell of an idea. D, we're going to put you on hold. You're a winner. D, we thank you so much for listening.
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you. Paul and Philip, we're sorry. We'll try to get a question out there next week that you can answer and try to win some barbecue at the Germantown Commissary. I like D's idea, Dave.
I do, too. Since we're talking about QBs, I don't know if you saw this story. Kyle Long, who retired from the Chicago Bears offensive line. Kyle Long says Mitch Trubisky, and the Chicago Bears are soon to come to an end. He said it's Nick Foles. When they got Nick Foles, they were telling Trubisky, get the heck out.
Dave,
and he thinks there will be a deal that will be made sometime soon.
Dave, Drew and I love you to death. We've been telling you this. Why did you need Kyle Long to confirm this?
Well, I really kind of thought they were going to bring Foles in to light a fire under Trubisky.
There's no fire to light. There's no pilot light. There's no kindling there. There's nothing there. Mitch Mitchell doesn't have it, Dave. We've tried to let you down easy on this one.
Well, Kyle Long said that's not true. Kyle Long said the Bears are making a mistake. They just haven't had enough protection around them, and they haven't had enough targets, particularly at tight end.
I don't know that you can get enough around him. It will go down as one of the legendary, horrible deals, what they did and who they passed on to get him.
Well, to move up and then pass on 2 or 3 guys that are better than Trubisky is really the crime here. And I don't understand. To be a quarterback in the NFL, one of the things that you must possess is a leadership quality. And honestly, the Bears really don't seem to look at that particular aspect. They look at arms, and all you have to do is look at and this is a mental block, but I can't think of the Vanderbilt quarterback that was the Bears' last disappointment.
Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler could make all the throws, but he had no leadership ability. Every time the going got tough, he got the heck out of Dodge. And same thing with Trubisky.
You crushed Jay Cutler when he got hurt in the NFC Championship game. You crushed him.
Come on.
You did.
He's so bad. He was so bad.
You crushed Jay Cutler. Drew, didn't we try to tell him? We
really did try to tell you, and I'm shocked that he didn't make it even at least a little bit longer holding out trying to protect Mitch Mitchell. We haven't even gotten to a single practice, the draft, or anything, and he's already turning on him. 2 weeks ago, he was his guy.
I'm 2 weeks. Telling you, we're going to see. I love the fact that we have Nick Foles to fall back on. That's what I love. You know, he did take a team to the Super Bowl.
He did. And he had some real bad luck last year when I was very enamored with him in Jacksonville. Dave, I've been doing these first-round quarterbacks for Monday. I'll go through the history of the Chicago Bears drafting quarterbacks in the first round. You mentioned Jay Cutler. We know of Billy Wade. Jim McMahon went very early. I'm going to say Jim McMahon may have gone 4 or 5 or something like that. Overall, are you with us Monday, or are you celebrating your 75th birthday?
No. I'm going to be with you through 5:30 on Monday, and I'll be in studio on Monday.
Cool.
And then I know, and I'm looking forward to our friend from the Memphis Business Journal being on with us again, and
Greg Akers.
So I'll probably take off after that 5:30 spot to celebrate.
75.
And you can't celebrate too much. We're going to social distance, and family's going to come over, and we're going to, because I haven't seen all my kids together for a long time. I mean, I hate to admit that, but it's just the world that we live in right now. I see them on Zoom.
And you don't turn 75 just every day, Dave.
No. It's an age, but like I told you, it's the new 47 is really what it is.
That's what it is. 67, the new 47 for Dave on Monday. But we'll celebrate big. Drew and I'll be very nice to you on Monday. We won't razz you about Mitch Mitchell.
I'll be nice.
I get 1 day a year. That's really great. I'm
Thank you,
looking
Dave.
forward.
We're nice people.
Funny though.
It's the least we could do. I mean, the least we could do.
I've been watching these, all these stories. They're all doing the greatest teams now. And even there was a really good Chicago reporter. We were talking about center field for the Cubs. And this guy came up with a great team. And I there's too many Cardinal fans to go over the whole team here. But even this dude cheated, and he moved Sammy Sosa to center field.
You can't do that. You can't do that.
Well, he moved him there because Sammy played a few games there.
Yeah, it's Dexter Fowler. That what Dexter Fowler did as a Cub
He didn't even mention. Let me tell you something. In this article, he doesn't even mention Dexter Fowler.
Yeah, we were a little bit late to it too.
Your deal on the Bears, that's the one position. The Bears have been great with defense, in particular linebackers. They've been unbelievable with running backs between Gale Sayers and Walter Payton. And tight ends, there have been a couple of really good ones going back to even Mike Ditka. The Bears have never. I mean, Billy Wade was a good quarterback. He was not a great quarterback. Jim McMahon, the same thing. Very serviceable. Good
Sid
leader.
Luckman.
But he wasn't a great one. Sid Luckman is the last good one. I mean, what are you going back to the 40s?
Well, it's right after World War II, Dave. Sid Luckman goes way back, and Billy Wade, boy, that was a heated battle once upon a time. I don't have the energy to go through it or even retell the story. We start the third and final hour. Coming up next, that's with Andy Schiffman talking NBA and the pay cuts they're having to endure. That directly hits some of his clients. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on AM 560, 87.7, and 96.1.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Does your air conditioning system need Freon every year? It may be time for Conway Services' 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up with a free leak check. Good news, it's Super Tune-Up time at Conway Services. We'll come out and perform our 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your air conditioning system for only $69 with a free leak check. That's right, Conway Services' exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up for only $69 with a free leak check. We'll remove years of dirt, grime, and leaves from your air conditioning system. It's like taking your air conditioner to a car wash, all for only $69. If that's not enough, we'll treat your unit with a special Teflon coating to help protect against the hot Memphis sun. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. And call this week and ask for the early bird special, and we'll perform your super tune-up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there still feeding and providing for the community via curbside pickup. Let's support local business with your business. These local businesses include Shelby Forest General Store, Let It Fly, Moon Dance Grill, Great Wines, Germantown Wines and Liquors, Corks Wines and Liquors. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
A lot percolating with the NBA, mostly off the court, and so I'm sure some very serious meetings about stuff on the court and trying to complete some shape, form, or fashion of this year. I want them to. Every time I bring up the 70 games, it is not to needle them. Look, they want their money. I think it's important that they get their money and try to get to the 70 games played and then some semblance of a playoff. We'll talk with Andy Schiffman about that and about the pending pay cut coming on May 15th, not the next pay period, which will be Friday, May 1st, 2 weeks from today, but the next one. This hour brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales down on Goodman Road, 5704 Goodman Road. All the cars test-driven at DeSoto Auto Sales, checked out bumper to bumper, head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. A lot of cars at DeSoto Auto Sales. I don't know how it's not on the lot, but if by chance it's not, they'll find the car that you want. You'll be treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales, down-home environment at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Check them out online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. Look at DeSoto Auto Sales. They know we're living in a complicated world today that time really matters. They understand that. They want you to have the ultimate car experience. Walk in, meet with your sales rep, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, all in about 45 minutes. In time to do that over your lunch hour or immediately after work, and plenty of time for you to do it tomorrow on Saturday. DeSotoAutoSales.com, 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. Very, very proud to bring on Andy Schiffman and talk the business of the NBA. Andy is a Chicago-based agent, Memphian, and I think he is in Memphis. We're glad to have you at home, Andy, riding out the great 2020 pandemic due to the virus. Isn't this something? This is all-timer, isn't it?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me back. Yep, still in Memphis, and we'll be here, still hunkered down for the foreseeable future until hopefully the world reopens, which nobody knows when that will be, including everyone in the NBA. No one just has any idea when things will start back up. So just still down here, taking it one day at a time and enjoying the warmer weather, because 2 of the last 3 days there's been nothing but snow up in Chicago. So it's definitely a blessing to be down here where it's a little bit warmer.
We're glad you're home, and I know your parents are.
They definitely are. That's for sure.
Well, you should be happy because the weather the last few days here has been absolutely spring-like beautiful with azaleas and everything else still in bloom. We were talking as we closed the last hour that we were going to talk with you about this looming pay cut. How does that sit with a bunch of your clients?
Well, obviously, it is not something that players want. However, first and foremost, they want to be able to find a way to play games this year. They all understand the whole notion of force majeure in these contracts and in the collective bargaining agreement. And so if this is a way to potentially try and salvage things like the NBA salary cap and make more money available in free agency and just really save the league if things do get canceled, then so be it. All of our players that I've talked with in the last week leading up to this and as well as today, they all understand this is not just an NBA issue. This is a world issue that everyone is dealing with. And I would seem to think that every industry is hit by this, maybe with the exception of grocery stores right now. So while it's not something they're excited about, they do understand it. They are still going to receive their full paycheck come May 1st. And starting May 15th, as you guys both know and probably alluded to earlier in the show, starting May 15th, 25% of each player's paycheck will begin to be reduced and held in the escrow account so that if games do officially become canceled, then the NBA will reduce what is available to the ownership group and the league in the escrow account on an as-needed basis, just making up for this whole notion that games might be canceled and players can lose about 1% of their total salary per game that is canceled and not made up.
I know this is not your call, but as far as fans go, I can't imagine that even if they resume this season, and I think they're going to at least try to do that for a while. And again, we'll point out that Adam Silver's made it very clear he's not making any decisions till we get to May. So we've still got a guessing game here for basically 2 more weeks. But I can't imagine they will play games in stadiums that will be filled. That will hopefully occur next year for the next season. When do you think they will start making decisions about refunding the fans who paid for 41 games? I can't remember what it would be for the Grizzlies, but let's say it's 6 or 7 games that they would have to be refunded. When do you think that will occur?
I think that will occur once, first and foremost, the NBA announces what their plans will be, which they've, just like you mentioned, Dave, Adam Silver has not quite said when that time will come. Truth is, nobody knows. So that's the first step in all of this, is determining what will happen to this season. And then at that point, I could definitely see later in the summer, beginning of the fall, teams offering season ticket holders refunds or even potentially a credit for future games for any games that are canceled. So I think we have to let the first domino fall in all of this, which is first deciding, determining how many games might be canceled. Will these games be canceled? Will the season this year resume? It's just something that we're all unsure of right now, and the entire league is at the mercy of the timeline of this virus and pandemic and how everything progresses from here.
And it would take too long for me to walk through it, and I'm going to do it in a little more detail this weekend and maybe try to carve some time out next week. But finding a simple way to explain it has been the difficult part. Everybody left has about, some teams played 63, some played 64, most 65, a couple as many as 67. So I'm saying an average of about 4 games left for 30 teams, 120 games. Well, some of those would be repetitive. It'd be team against team. So I'm saying the NBA needs about 100 games for everybody to get to 70. If they could get back in and have the sequestered camp, they over a course of 2 weeks playing 15 games a day, you could just about get those in, then get to a round of playoffs. First round, I know it wouldn't be popular. It wouldn't be here in Memphis, 2 out of 3. Second round, 3 out of 5. Eastern and Western Conference, 4 out of 7. NBA Finals, 4 out of 7, and get through about August 10th. It could be done.
It can be done, and you can definitely pack a lot of games in a short amount of time. That's because, like you mentioned, they're not going to be in NBA cities. It seems like if the season is resumed, the only destination that the league has potentially talked about having these games will be Vegas. So now you take out travel time, you can absolutely go out there and play a lot of back-to-back games, and many scenarios where teams will be playing probably 4 games in 5 nights to expedite that process. It all just depends on if and when the country reopens. I know there's been talk this week among the government and the professional sports leagues about trying to reopen pro sports in these leagues. I still think we're very far away from that. My biggest fear personally is that things will start to reopen too quickly just because we've had maybe a couple good days here and there and some signs of hope and optimism, and everything just gets exacerbated. Now we're in a much worse position than we were 2 weeks ago.
I'm with you.
I'm just a little concerned about that, and there's ways to safeguard that. I understand that, but I just feel that enough people in this country will take advantage of that and look past what we should be doing and realize I got to go make some money. I got to go back to my work, my job, my work. I'm going to go out to restaurants, do this and that, and just be a little bit overly careless. And so with all that being said, I know first and foremost, Adam Silver and the NBA league office, they will not jeopardize any player's health to salvage this season. And they've made that very clear on multiple phone calls.
I have that same fear about opening up again too quickly. I did find it interesting, though, when you said you could go to Vegas, no travel, you could play all these games, you could play 4 games in 5 days. I got to ask you this. Do you think the Players Union, with all the new studies they've done, and now I don't think you can have two games in 3 nights, and you kind of limit that, and you're limited to your back-to-backs. You think the Players Union would allow that to happen?
If it's a way to save the season and to get the requisite number of games in, I do.
You have to.
I really do. I think it's definitely possible. Now, you like Stats mentioned, you have to be able to account for at least 2 weeks of a little bit of a mini training camp, right, to get these guys back in shape. Because keep in mind, the majority of players in the NBA, we've talked about this last week, they do not have access to a gym or a hoop. So they're just trying to find ways to kind of piecemeal workout from day to day, and maybe they have NBA balls they can work out with at home, but they're not out there going on a hoop every day playing and competing. And so it will take some time for the majority of the players in the NBA to get back into game shape, but I do think players would be up for that if that is the only solution, if there is a time crunch to be had to save the season. I think there'll be for sure a lot of back-to-back games. And also keep in mind too, well, it's completely different level. In the NBA, in the NBA Summer League, they do just that. There are many times, both in the Vegas Summer League and specifically in Utah, it's designed for these teams to be playing a lot of back-to-back games, 4 games in 5 nights. And actually, the 4 teams that participate in the Utah Summer League, it's the whole Summer League there is 5 days, and everyone, I believe, plays 4 games. So it's something that can be done. It's definitely not a no-brainer, but I think the NBA Players Union would be in favor of it if that is a way to save the season and move forward into the off-season accordingly.
Andy, also this week, and I know you are a big proponent of going to college, but the league just came up with a new concept called this elite team as part of the G League, and they paid $500,000 to a kid who was coming to Memphis in Jalen Green, the combo guard from California. Isaiah Todd signed today. He's the second to join this elite team. He only got $250,000. I wonder how he feels about that. He was going to go to Michigan. What's your sense of this? I don't think it's the end of college basketball. In fact, I think it may help because I think it may be the end of one and done that they were talking about. But give me your sense of this new G League elite team setup.
Right. I don't think it's the end of college basketball at all. I think, look, it depends on which perspective you're looking at it from, right, Dave? So from the NCAA's perspective, from college coaches' perspective, it's a complete nightmare. Because, and I've talked to a lot of coaches actually in the last 24 hours about just that. And now the thought process is, I have to now not only compete with other NCAA institutions, but also the NBA. And even if the league has not come out and said we are going to eliminate the one and done requirement and we will allow players to just skip college altogether, this is kind of a roundabout way for these top elite level prospects to circumvent that. And it's very difficult. You talk about a coach like Juwan Howard at Michigan that had a commitment from Isaiah Todd, a verbal commitment, and now that's completely gone, and you have to kind of regroup with your staff to how you're going to use that scholarship and how you're going to plan your roster. Same thing with Penny. I mean, you saw the kid Jalen Green. I'm sure a lot of Memphis fans saw that 2 days ago he posted on his social media a picture of himself wearing a Memphis Tigers hat and an NBL, which is the Australian League, T-shirt, and then he pivots and makes this decision yesterday of going this G League route, which I'll talk about in a second. And it can definitely be heartbreaking for these coaches and these staffs that have put so much time, energy, and effort into recruiting a kid, and now at this point, with no warning, kind of have to go back and figure out a way to build their roster and find a way to get a star in there, knowing that other elite level prospects now will be more apt to follow in the footsteps of Jalen and of Isaiah. And so it's a tough pill to swallow. Now, from the NBA's perspective, they could not be happier. I actually spoke with a higher-up official today with the G League, and the first thing out of his mouth was, great day for the G League, which it is. But keep in mind, and this is a little different than what the initial plan was, the initial plan for players like this, which was available to elite-level players last season, was to be able to offer contracts for $125,000 if a player is deemed to be an elite-level prospect by the NBA offices / USA Basketball. And that doesn't mean anyone can just decide to go and skip college and enter into the G League. You have to kind of be approved / offered that opportunity. And now they have adjusted the rules to be able to pay these players that much more money. You saw Isaiah Todd made a little bit less than Jalen did, and Jalen's going to get a contract for about $500,000 with the opportunity, both of these players, to earn endorsement, marketing money, appearance money, participate in team appearances, and make even more money off the court in those instances. And they're not necessarily going to be considered a G League player. I believe they're referred to as select players, but what these players will do, they will very likely go play for this new development team that looks like it's been targeted to start up in Southern California next year. And it's not a team made up of entirely these young prospects. There'll be a handful of these prospects, because you can't sit there and have an unlimited amount, otherwise it loses its sole purpose. There'll be a handful of these prospects joined with what the league is targeting to do, to join forces with NBA veterans or just veteran players to act as mentors to these young prospects like Jalen and Isaiah, with the whole idea around this new team to be predicated upon the development of these players. And so they're trying to make this pitch of, not only can you come here and earn money and start the clock and earning income, we will develop you as if you were playing at a major Division I university. You know, we will be able to get you and offer you the same exposure to NBA teams. Since you're now here in the U.S., NBA scouts will be able to come and watch these games, and you'll be coached by players who have coached and played at a very high level before. And the games they will play, to my knowledge, will consist of some exhibition games against other G League teams that will not count as G League regular season games, and also against other countries' national teams. So there hasn't been any definitive number of games that these kids will play, but it seems like they'll definitely get double-digit games under their belt. But it's almost just like a whole centralized NBA training program, breeding grounds for top-level draft picks. And it's kind of, I can see how it's considered a slap in the face to a lot of these colleges and the NCAA, and a lot of articles I've seen have said just that. And it just adds more competition for these high-level prospects, to come to schools like Memphis or Auburn or Arkansas. Now, will you start to see this pervasively, and will you start to see these top-level kids start decommitting from places like Duke, UNC, Kentucky? Probably not. But this will be a true experiment to see how things go for players like Jalen and Isaiah. Because the other thing, that, and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but the other thing that players don't really realize is you have a pretty good life when you go to a major Division I institution and you're a big man on campus and you're playing in front of all these fans and you're traveling charter flights, and it's, you almost forget you're not getting paid because you're treated like it. And you don't really get the benefit of going to get a free education while you're doing this whole G League route or G League Select route. And I don't know how the flights will work, but if it's anything like the G League, you're definitely not flying first class and in charter flights, that's for sure, playing in front of 20,000 fans every night on national TV. So it's a bit of a different animal. It's something that is new, but I think after this year, it'll really be telling to see how many young prospects follow in these kids' footsteps.
Andy, do you think it should be a date certain set that they have to declare that they're going to do this instead of the appearance that Jalen Green kind of strung along the University of Memphis? Coach Hardaway could have been out there recruiting somebody else.
Oh, absolutely. I've said that in the last couple of days here since all this has come out. Absolutely. I think a decision should come first and foremost that these players have to decide if they're going to enter the college recruiting scene or if they're deemed worthy of it to accept this offer from the league, the NBA, the G League, what have you, and go that route, because it would save a lot of headache on the coach's side in terms of recruiting, and it would give them a better idea of the time they have to go out and recruit and the scholarships they have available to them. This is a way to avoid exactly what's happened now with Michigan and what has happened between schools like Auburn and Memphis, who are both vying for Jalen, and even these Australian teams in the NBL. If you put an earlier time on it when these kids have to decide, which I think is absolutely appropriate and fair, then it's a good way to help these college coaches in the NCAA to realize who truly will be available and accessible for us to recruit for next season, and it's just going to come down to it, and it's almost just like a waste of time because we're not even going to get the benefit of their services, and they're just going to leave us in the dust here at the 11th hour.
I would just say if you're an elite level high school kid and they're going to give you anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000, you don't have to go to school. You don't have to go to all those practices that you do when you are a college athlete. You're only going to play 15 to 20 games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. The colleges are going to lose the top 5 to 12 guys, but that's okay. Obi Toppin wouldn't have made it. John Morant wouldn't have made that team. There's still going to be plenty, and I'll go back to this assertion I made yesterday. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But my sense is it works out great for the NBA because now they'll see, before they draft that kid, they'll have a year of working this kid out, putting him in some game situations to see if they want to give him a top-level 2-year guaranteed contract. And in the meantime, they'll keep the one-and-done rule in effect because this is a different way they can play him. They're not going to lose him to the Australian Basketball League, and they're going to keep the veterans who are also going to have to vote on doing away with the one and done. They're going to keep those veterans who don't want those guys taken away a year at the back end of their career. They don't want that taken away. I think it's a win for them, and honestly, for college basketball, you're going to lose 5 or 6 stars a year. But you know what? It's not definitely a death knell like some people are predicting.
No, I agree. When you think about the number of players that have developed and all of a sudden have become college basketball superstars in their second year in college, third year, et cetera, and you think about top prospects that were supposed to be one and done, supposed to be these elite superstars, and they get to the NBA, and Brian Bowen, the kid that was supposed to go to Louisville a couple of years, went to Australia, now he's on a 2-way with the Indiana Pacers. I mean, it can work both ways, like you said. And so I think right now it's definitely a little bit unnerving and disconcerting for the NCAA and college basketball. But just like you said, as you project out, you will still have superstars emerge throughout college basketball. There's still parity, and there's parity at the top, and there will still be sleepers that develop into very good college players and eventually very, very high-level NBA players. And, the other thing, kind of getting back to what it does for players and veteran guys, and I've actually talked to a couple players about this today, which I think is a unique viewpoint, and it's not something that necessarily that will be considered in all of this. But again, like, it impacts these players. Now you have these NBA veteran players, and I represent a number of them, that are having to go down to the G League because maybe they couldn't get picked up by an NBA team, or they're coming back over from Europe and they want to try their luck in the G League. And these kids have grinded it out and have been in the NBA. They've played at these high levels. They've proven themselves, and now they're going to have to go down to the G League and sign for $35,000 for a whole season. And then you have players on NBA two-way contracts where if you get your full 45 days of service available to you on an NBA roster as a two-way player, you're going to make around $400,000 or so. And then you have these kids who are half your age sometimes, a little more than half your age, but young kids, teenagers, coming in unproven with the NBA just handing them $500,000 and all this opportunity. It's a little bit of a slap in the face to some of these veteran guys. And it's something I've said for years, and the league has done a marginal job of addressing it and increasing the salary for G League players from recent years by $10,000. But again, if they're going to pony up all this money for these unproven rising stars, I still think to try to compete with Europe in terms of veteran players, the league has to find a way to come up with more money for veteran guys to make those contracts more attractive and more competitive. Because what this does from these other players outside, from their perspective, it definitely has some frustrated players today, I can tell you that.
He is Andy Schiffman. He's our agent, normally in Chicago, back home until the pandemic is over. Andy, thank you much. And who knows what developments we'll have by next week, but we look forward to talking to you then. And be safe, would you?
Both of you do the same as well. I appreciate you having me on, as always, and have a great weekend.
You too. That is our agent, Andy Schiffman. He's brought to you in part by the Spirit Shop. Oh, yeah. Spirit Shop still making sure that whatever you are seeking, they will get to you. They do it through curbside service. Now, you can call them in advance. Same thing I like to tell a lot of people. If you don't want to pass cash or you don't want to pass around your credit card, don't worry about it. You just drive up there after you've called, put your order in. If they've got it, they'll bring it right out to you. They'll take your credit card over the phone, so there's no issues with any kind of sanitary thing. They'll place it in your car, your trunk, however you prefer, and then you can do all the wiping down when you get home. They are very serious about sanitation and all that goes with it, but the Spirit Shop has been doing really good business, by the way. And part of it's that location right there in East Memphis. That is Poplar and St. Nick. It's 4848 Poplar to be exact, right down from the Big Clark Tower. It's that little log cabin you've been passing since 1969. That's how long this family business has been in operation, and they are there to serve you. So if you want to lighten your load just a little bit with some spirits this evening, this weekend, they are open till 11 tonight. All you got to do is call and tell them we sent you. Say hello to Eddie Connor and all the family there at the Spirit Shop with curbside service at Poplar and St. Nick. We take a break. When we come back, one of my favorite things, I know Drew's been working hard at this, we got Heck Yeah, Hell No. It's next on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Sports 56 mornings with Peter Edmiston and CJ Hurts. Weekdays from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage, $75 per month level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Termbusters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-800-569-5440. That's 1-800-569-5440. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Termbusters, 1-800-569-5440, or visit our website at termbusters.net. Remember, 1-800-569-5440. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means the prescription medication to treat ED is super affordable at 4hims.com. And now get your first online doctor's visit free at 4hims.com. That's right. Zero copay, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. That's really good news. To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
A heart in my tasty Honey Nut Cheerios? Cereal, you trying to tell me you love me?
Actually, it's reminding you that it can help lower cholesterol as part of a heart-healthy diet.
Wait, they can help lower cholesterol? I've been so focused on the sweet, tasty taste that I completely forgot. Now I'm in love.
Learn more about making Honey Nut Cheerios part of your heart-healthy lifestyle by picking up a box at your local grocery store.
Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there still feeding and providing for the community via curbside pickup. Let's support local business with your business. These local businesses include East Memphis Ace Hardware, The Butcher Shop, El Toro Loco on Kirby, Bartlett Small Engines, Spirit Shop Liquor Store, Five Ash Roofing, Tactical Guns and Ammo, and Wolf Chase Lemon Brace. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Well, we have hit that point in the week where we're in the home stretch. And Dave, I know you're ready and I am ready. I think we're ready, Drew, for a lively round of heck yes, hell no.
Heck yeah! Hell no.
Alrighty, y'all ready?
I think so.
All right, so I'm going to start off with a couple of normal questions like we normally do.
We hadn't gotten Dave's confirmation on readiness
Dave,
yet.
are you ready?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I said yeah.
Good.
Okay. So I'm going to do a couple of normal questions, and we're going to end with some rapid fire. So we'll start with the normal. First question, Cam Newton will play all 16 games with whichever team he signs with and will make it to the playoffs.
Dave?
Well, the odds of him going to a team that's a playoff team are not very good, so I'll say hell no. I hope that he does. I'm not sure that Cam is washed up. If he's healthy, I think he can still perform. I think he's probably learned a lot in the last couple of years, but he's got to be healthy. But he's not going to be traded to a team, I don't think, that is a playoff-ready team, so I'll say no.
What if he ended up as the answer at quarterback in Washington with that defense?
That's a possibility. If you look at that division, I would still think Philly and Dallas would be better even with him at quarterback in Washington.
I'm going to say heck yes, Drew. I think he ends up with a good landing spot, and to show everyone that and every great has one last great act, and he has been great. I'm pretty sure. I was going to say I'm not so sure. No, I'm pretty sure he had the biggest 1 year impact ever on the SEC. His Heisman Trophy winning year of 2010 at Auburn, and he was MVP of the NFL. He did win an NFC championship, and he did get a team to Super Bowl 50.
Well,
right spot, heck yes.
It is interesting to me. You mentioned those Heisman trophies and that 1 year. The last 3 or 4 Heisman trophies have not gone to the guy that in the beginning of the year we thought they would make it. Cam might have been the first one of those
Johnny
that started a trend.
Robert Griffin, we didn't see coming.
Nope.
For that matter, I don't think many people saw Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry in the preseason, and nobody saw Joe Burrow coming.
Nobody,
and
that's correct.
very few saw Kyler Murray coming.
Right.
That's just about every Heisman since about 2010, isn't it?
Yeah, but
you left out Lamar, but other than that, pretty much
left out Lamar. Who saw that one
right.
coming?
That's right. That
in the
that all
preseason
began right around the time though of Cam Newton.
He did launch it that year in 2010. He was Superman, and it wasn't a terrible team around him, but it wasn't great, and he carried them to the national championship. No, he didn't play defense, and they had some pretty good defensive players, but that was an amazing year, and I think he is one of the greats, and every great has one last great act. Heck yes.
I'm still going hell no because I don't think he's going to. I hope he's really good because I like him, but you got to have a team behind you, and I don't see he's going to land at one. Next.
All right, next question. With the XFL having laid everyone off with no plans going forward for 2021, was the second attempt at the XFL better than the first, even though the first had a full season? And before you answer, remember I am wearing my Dallas Renegade shirt right now, so keep that in mind.
Well, I'll go first. I think, heck yes, that it was better, again, with in kind of air quotes and in parentheses and in screaming letters. They had a worldwide global pandemic interrupt a pretty good start to the second go-around. I didn't watch any of it because I was so jaded by the first go-around, but everybody, I knew enough about it to know that they did try the more serious route this time. If they'd have taken this approach in 2020 last time, they might have made it last time.
I am stunned, a heck yes, coming from a guy who watched zero snaps,
Not a play.
seconds of the league.
I
say hell no, because they at least got a lot of publicity with a lot of the stuff they tried to do in the first go-round, and it wasn't good enough. And let's be honest. Did you see the net worth of Vince McMahon? He could have kept this going another year. He used the pandemic as an excuse to go, we can't play this year. I've seen the handwriting on the wall. It ain't going to work. I hired Oliver Luck. I got the best guys that could do it now. It's pretty clear America doesn't want an inferior product of the National Football League. They've already got the collegiate football level of play. This ain't going to happen. I'm going to fold it up right now and only lose the amount that I've lost. Because he could have done it another year. He was wise to shut it down. This didn't even get near the interest, I think, that the first go-around did.
And he let some LLC that he didn't give a darn about, the paper that it was drawn up on, he cared no more about it. He let that and creditors eat it. Vince McMahon, like some of his buddies, doesn't mind a lot of debt and sure doesn't mind walking away from it.
Now, when you're worth $7 billion, you can do that.
I guess you can.
Next.
All right, next question. The NBA will start play before Major League Baseball.
Ooh, wow. The NBA, I'll say no. Hell no. I don't think it'll be that far behind. We know golf is going to be the very first to open up, and they can do it without TV. I think baseball will be before the NBA because baseball is outside, and there's not the bumping and contact between players as much other than, pretty much a slide into home plate or second base or third base. So I'm going to say to you, I think baseball will be the second sport behind golf and then the NBA. So I say no, the NBA is not going to be ahead of baseball.
I'm mostly with Dave. I think my answer is hell no, and I'm with him on the contact of it. And Dave, so much of the contact of baseball is now prohibited. The bashing into the catcher or busting up the double play with just something that resembles a hard slide. You can't get near that anymore. And I'm gonna spend some time this weekend on it. Where I would disagree with you, I do think the NBA could complete have a training camp, complete the end of the season, get their TV money locally, and I want them to do that, and then fire up some playoffs. But there are a lot of comments right now out breaking news from Adam Silver. If they could get together and have one centralized location, then boil it down, have the playoffs, and try to complete it. They're even talking about now to complete this year would mean a definite delayed start to next year. I don't think they mind that much. Instead of starting in I don't mind it at all. Instead of starting in October, start more toward December, maybe even start the 2021 season in 21. That'd be okay for me as well. But our friend Bob Carpenter mentioned this the other day, and I know it's a concern of his and a lot of our friends, NBA and Major League Baseball alike, in the broadcast business. But there's no way when they do these centralized locations, like the NBA is talking about Vegas or Phoenix, and baseball's talking about Phoenix, Scottsdale, and spring training sites in Florida. There's no way they're bringing in every announce crew, TV and radio. They're going to bring them in, but like Pete and Brevin and Rob could very well do a Grizzlies game on Monday night and a Utah Jazz game the next night.
Or they won't be doing it at all, and it'll all be the networks that do all the games.
But they'll need some talent.
That all remains, honestly, to be seen.
Now we'll get it on Fox Sports Southeast. We'll get it on our regular TV, but it may not be our crew, or it could be, and it could be the next night a different crew.
Well, you got to think about social distancing there too. That's the beauty of baseball. If you think about baseball, just the way the defensive setups are, they're all socially distant. Except for when there's a double play being pulled, you're pretty much away. Other than the batter and the umpire and the catcher, everything is social distanced. I don't know how that would work if you had a bunch of crews. I don't know if there will be radio. I hope there is. I don't know how any of that will work if indeed that is the case.
All righty, ready for the next one?
Yes, sir.
We are.
All right, with the release of the premiere of The Last Dance on Sunday on ESPN, we've heard a lot of former NBA players and former people from around the National Basketball Association come out with saying will show the Michael that I knew. Will this series taint Michael Jordan's legacy in the public eye?
Hell no. I don't think I've said a heck yes yet. Hell no. Michael Jordan you'll see is the fire that drove him. And it really doesn't matter because Michael's endorsements now are pretty much just one, and that's Nike, and that relationship's not going to go away. And what you are going to see is insight as to why not only he was a great player, but he was a leader, and he was just a relentless kind of a guy who was not a nice guy. I think that's what he's worried about, that he's going to come off as really not a nice guy. But you know what Leo DeRocher used to say? Nice guys finish last. This is not
Dave,
going to
I'm so with you.
The legacy of Michael Jordan.
Hell no, and this is not coming from kind of the Jordan defender. And you really have those out there. I mean, the diehard Jordan fans, man, they don't want LeBron mentioned in the same sentence with him until the very tragic, untimely, horrible death. They didn't want Kobe mentioned in the same breath with him. I understand that, so I'm not coming at it from that point of view. I'm really, I would say I'm agnostic because I do care, but I'm definitely not a MJ acolyte. Hell no, Drew. I don't think you can hurt that legacy. Look, he produced 6 titles. If he hadn't had those years out, and that might be divulged, some of why that was out, but he's human. We all are. We all have probably aspects of our lives we want laid out in a 10-night docudrama, Michael Jordan included. Some of it has been very celebrated and out there for him through the years. But I think he did enough good on and off the court for it to keep his image up.
And give him credit, Brett. He could have used the right of editing. He did not ask ESPN to take anything out there that might make him look
You know he had
bad.
enough power. That's right. You know he had enough power.
He did.
He could have
he could have said
that gets cut.
ESPN made that point that he never used any kind of right for editing. He simply let it be.
You know, and again, the kind of the Charles Barkley line on being a role model. I think we all are a role model. You're either a good one or a bad one. But if you don't want to be, that's not what his role had to be. And he may not be an angel. He wasn't perfect. He may have had flaws. Most people do.
Next.
All right. Do we have time for one more and then rapid fire? Or do we need to go straight to rapid? All right.
Yeah.
One more and then rapid fire.
Yes, rapid fire, Dave. I mean, when I say rapid fire, I'm going to need your answer right then and there. But before we get to that, the Tigers will continue their streak and have 2 or more players drafted for the 3rd straight year next week.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. Hell yes. Is it heck? It's heck yes. Heck yes, they will.
Or hell no.
Heck yeah. That's pretty easy. They will, and that is quite an achievement.
I'll go heck yeah, because I want that to happen. But other than Antonio Gibson, I'm not really sure. I'm going to say Austin Hall sneaks in. That probably is your next best choice, isn't it? That's your next best shot, unless there's an offensive lineman.
Maybe an O-lineman.
I'll go heck yeah because I want it. I want
Patrick
it.
Taylor?
I think Antonio Gibson is the only for sure. Brett?
I say 2, at least 2.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Rapid fire, baby.
All right, rapid fire. Who will be at their current job longer? We'll start with Tennessee, Rick Barnes or Jeremy Pruitt?
Jeremy Pruitt, because of age.
Pruitt. I agree. Jeremy Pruitt.
Overall,
Rick Barnes will retire in a couple of years.
All
Jeremy
right.
Pruitt's getting it done.
To Arkansas, Pittman or Musselman?
Musselman. Because what he's building and quietly, I mean, I know we're mostly talking Jalen Green and Tiger recruiting. The recruiting class Eric Musselman's put together, and the year he had, Eric Musselman, and Sam Pittman's got a really tough job ahead of him.
All right, Kermit Davis or Lane Kiffin?
Lane Kiffin, almost like the Tennessee thing because of age. I think Lane Kiffin has Kermit Davis next year will be 61. I don't know how much longer he will want to go, but if he goes 4 more, gets up to 65, that's close to calling it a career. Lane Kiffin will go longer.
Kermit Davis. I never trust Lane Kiffin.
All right, Vandy we go. Jerry Stackhouse or Derek Mason?
Jerry Stackhouse. Derek Mason's lucky. He sees opening day this year, if we have one.
Boy, can I say both?
Nope.
Not there?
Both is a good answer.
Sure either will be there next year.
Both's a good answer. Now, we're not talking about just next year. We're talking longevity, aren't we?
Longevity, yes.
Okay.
My point is, Derek Mason could go after the next football season that's played, and so could Jerry Stackhouse.
Sure could.
All right, to left, Mississippi State, Howland or Leach?
Leach, again, like the age thing with Kiffin over Kermit Davis and with Jeremy Pruitt over Rick Barnes.
I just say Leach will be there longer simply because he just got there, and Howland does have a way of uningratiating himself to people.
All right, last one, and I'm sure you all know exactly where I'm going. Penny or Ryan Silverfield? Rapid fire, Dave. Need it now.
Man. I'd say Ryan Silverfield because I think Penny will end up I think they'll both be here for a long time, but Penny will not coach longer than Ryan. Penny will leave on his own terms before Ryan does.
I think it'd be Ryan Silverfield for a lot of reasons. Number one, and I don't know what the net worth of Penny Hardaway of what it is, but it's a lot. And we've all wondered how long he would stay interested. He has been very interested, but at some point he can always go back to the really cushy, really good life. And to his credit, he's worked his can off, but also this one. For what he signed up for just 2 years ago, has rapidly changed with how how the NCAA is treating some things with the NBA and the G League going after high school players. I mean, already the deal he signed up for is not the deal now, and I could see him getting really frustrated with that. I think it'll be Ryan Silverfield, and it's Ryan Silverfield's kind of first big showbiz break. Penny Hardaway had his first big showbiz break when he was 20.
No doubt. We agree on that one. Here's another thing we agree on. I'll tell you, you'll be around for a long time. All the cars that you get from Homer Skelton or Genesis of Olive Branch. That's the truth. Homer Skelton Hyundai, they got this offer going on right now. 0% financing. 0%. No interest at all for 84 months. And 120 days before you have to make your first payment on select models. That could be Hyundais or it could be Genesis cars, like my Genesis G70. All the technology and all the luxury in that car, honestly, it is something you need to go test drive, and that's easy. You just get on Lamar. When you get to State Line Road, it becomes Highway 78, and guess what? After that, you're right there. First exit, Craft Road, turn left, go see Chris True and all the gang. And no, these cars, not only are they luxurious, not only are they high in technology and safety, they last forever. A 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty with every car on the lot. Go see for yourself why this is the standard of the way car business should be done. Please head to Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We head into a break to come back and to give you crunch time.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Hey everybody, this is Coach Penny Hardaway. There's a comfort in being home, and to me, comfort food and family makes Memphis the place to be, along with having the best basketball fans in America. I like pulling into Corky's and getting one of their family party packs. How can you go wrong with pork, beans, slaw, sauce, and buns for only $5.99 a person? It is so easy. I can call ahead, order online, or just pop in. Tailgating can't get any easier. Tell them Penny sent you.
Encore flavor, Corky's barbecue.
Hi, I'm Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. Do you have any idea why I never speak the way I am right now? It's because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you do not need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get a customer's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or buy their products? By overcharging you in the first place, that's how. Five-Ash Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service possible and do it at a fair price, why would I need gimmicks to sell it? Best products, best warranties, and best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. Five-Ash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
I'm Dr. George Flynn, president of Flynn Broadcasting. On behalf of everyone associated with Flynn Broadcasting, we want to wish you good health, especially in this coronavirus situation. You can be the hero. All you have to do is practice social distancing. That's right, 6 feet away from other people, and you'll be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Also, if you feel ill and have a cough or fever, get tested so you'll know if you have coronavirus or not. I'm Dr. George Flynn with Flynn Broadcasting. We'll keep you connected while you maintain your physical social distance. So keep listening to this Flynn Broadcasting station because we're in this fight with you and we're going to help you stay connected.
Hi, this is Greg Gaston from Sports 56 Middays. During this coronavirus pandemic, many of you are spending all day at home, and we remind you that you can stay in touch and connected through Sports 56. Turn us on your radio, computer, phone, or smart speaker, and stay up to date and connected with the community. Keep practicing social distancing, and remember to wash your hands often. And hopefully, before too long, we can get back to some sort of normalcy. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay connected with Sports 56 and Sports56WHBQ.com.
This is a commercial announcement. Did China really cover up the coronavirus outbreak? Are they telling us the full truth of where the virus came from and how many of their people were really infected? Are they also holding back critical medical supplies? Now, Greg Kelly Reports gives the shocking answers to those questions on Newsmax TV. So tune into Greg Kelly Reports tonight on Newsmax TV. It's already the fastest growing cable news channel in America, carried on every major cable system, including DirecTV, Xfinity, Dish, Spectrum, Optimum, Cox, Fios, Uverse, Suddenlink, WOW, and more. Just check your cable guide today. And don't forget to vote in Newsmax's national poll, asking Americans if they support President Trump's handling of the crisis. It's easy to vote. Just text the word OPEN to 39747. That's OPEN to 39747. Let your voice be heard about President Trump. Just text the word OPEN to 39747 and watch Newsmax TV. It's real news for real people.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, did we hit
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working? It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
Woo! Woo! Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Learn today, Dave. R.J. Hampton's stat line for last year, 15 games, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists per game, and he only played in 15 games. Josh Selby would have gone straight to the NBA, and he sure would have gotten a G League deal like they have now, and we found out for sure he couldn't play at all.
$500,000 for RJ for that?
Yep.
Oh, Australia.
And got hurt.
Weeping.
And got hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
I learned today the NFL is going to hold a virtual mock draft on Monday to try to work out all the kinks, and they're going to use former great players in it so you can redraft your own guys. That should be kind of fun. Oh, and Cody Topper did a virtual clinic for the National Association of Basketball Coaches. He got more hits than anybody, 27,000 hits. How about that?
You know, like the XFL, the MLS with the bad timing. We all had the bad timing this year with the virus. They're now having drastic cuts at 50%. That's extreme. But one thing, again, every time soccer just about gets a foothold, something happens to it in the United States. Dave, what is it you could have done without?
That was the exact same thing I had. You know, we could talk about 25%, a cut that possibly the NBA players are going to have May 15th, but 50%. But I would tell you, I think soccer's got its own niche. I think it's here. It's a different culture. I think we see that with the 901 FC. I think this is a bump in the road. I don't think it's going to be the ending by any means.
I hope so. Dave, we will talk with you again on Monday and celebrate 67 with you. How about that?
I love it. Can't wait.
And
thank you, guys. Have a great, safe weekend.
We will. We've had a fun week this week. We want to thank everybody for listening, being a part of the show. All our guests today, like Bruce Marshall, Mike Detillier, Gabe Kuhn, and Andy Schiffman. This will be the 6th weekend without sports. It's got to be a record for a lot of us. It would have been the Tiger spring game tonight, and I'm really going to miss the Ole Miss spring game tomorrow and the Chucky Mullins banquet and ceremony. We'll find out more from about baseball and NBA on news and schedules, and both of them, the leadership, I know they're having a lot to go over. For Dave, for Drew, I'm Brett. Everybody have a healthy and safe weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you